Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, there's a lot of things going on right now. Obviously, we have America's getting immune, folks. But I'm going to tell you why we were late a few minutes, because we were practicing a song that we'll perform for you here in a minute. You just got to stick around. And this is a song that I don't think many of you would be able to guess that we were practicing. This is one of Tom's all-time favorite songs.
He cries. He cries sometimes.
Works out to this.
I weep.
It's a part of his baby making music playlist that he has on his phone. But let's go through some of the stories. Apparently, there's this Cuban guy named Mark who wants to buy. His name is Mark Cuban. He's not Cuban, though, but it's Mark Cuban. He wants to buy Fox News and X. He said that yesterday. He wants to buy Fox News and X, and the internet responded. I got a couple ideas on what companies they should consider buying, but we'll have that conversation about him. The shooter, we have a lot of things to talk. We haven't done an emergency podcast. Yesterday, we were back-to-back. It was a Monday. It's impossible for us to find the time to go out there and do something. Bill Ackman puts a tweet with an open, can you go all the way to, we have to read this entire letter, Rob. If you can go a little lower. He writes an open letter to Bob Iger showing the contract that Kamala Harris signed with ABC. And this person, that the whistleblower, is not even a Trump voter.
Doesn't endorse Trump at all.
It doesn't even endorse Trump. I mean, not even a little bit when you read this even further. We'll read through this here together in a minute. This one of the sweetest, I don't know if you can, certain people can use this word with. Sweet, I think Hillary Clinton's one of the sweetest. She had a lot of things to say about what took place. We'll respond to that. One of the folks from the Libertarian Party said something about Kamala, that it's been going back. And did you read that tweet or no? About, you know, the what an American hero could do. Did you see that?
No.
Okay. Anyways, maybe we'll react to that. Rob, have you seen that yet or no?
Is this regarding the FBI showing up to the guy's house?
Yes, the FBI showing up, and we'll show the clip on that part.
If it's the FBI, but go ahead.
Yeah, if it's the FBI, but we'll show that clip. And then aside from that, market-wise, Tom and I were speaking last night, and Tom said that even though all this time they were thinking that they're only going to be doing a 1/4 point drop, there may be a surprise with a 1/2 point drop. So wait till you hear what Tom's got to say about that. We'll talk about that. And then ready your bets. Election gambling is going mainstream in the U.S. I want to show you guys a number on what happened in 2016. By the way, someone's phone keeps going off. If you guys can check your phone to see whose it is. It's not mine. Then you got Stephen A. Smith comes out and says it's not going to continue. It's not going to continue to work. Stephen A. Smith sounds alarmed on Harris copying Biden's basement strategy. And then Harris's first solo interview, I don't know if you guys saw that or not, they were asking about the economy. And her answer about the economy is a little bit, I don't even know what to say, weird. I don't.
Odd.
Odd is a
very
good
odd
way of putting it.
Peculiar.
Jamie Dimon warns of stagflation threat. And then you have Gen Z's slang words banned in Florida classroom as teachers challenge students to be better. Well, let's see what those words are. One of them is a word that I'd be kicked out of school if I used that word regularly. So stick around. Elon Musk quest to make America great again. Wall Street Journal article about him. This next one here, some of you may want to stand up when I'm reading this story to you. It's called the dead butt syndrome. Could happen after sitting too long. So
I have it as we speak right now.
Yeah, for some of you guys that are sitting down, you may want to stand up for a quick second and give your butt a break.
Dead butt.
But
it's better than flat butt syndrome, which is a whole nother.
Yeah.
Here's how to avoid this condition. And aging speeds up massively at 2 points in one's lifetime, Stanford study finds. And by the way, during the debate, Pornhub decides to leak their data on what states porn consumption dropped while the debate was taking. Did you see this or no?
So people stopped watching
People stopped watching Pornhub, and they got the data to show what states dropped the most and what states were fully committed to keep watching porn, even when the debate was taking place. Did you see this, or have you seen this or no?
We're tackling all the pressing issues here
One
today.
of the states in the top 5 makes the most sense why it didn't drop, but we got to get into it. FYI, let me tell you guys this year on what's going to be happening November 5th. Just put it in your calendar. You'll see why I'll be able to have a confirmation on an answer this Friday. When I do, we may put the biggest election night event together outside of whatever Kamala and Trump is going to do. We're probably going to put the third biggest one there. You're going to want to be there. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be wild. It's going to be insane. It'll be a lot of fun, creativity, craziness. But here's the thing. To attend it, you're going to have to buy a ticket to go to it, obviously. The tickets are not going to be, vault type of tickets where you're spending, 15, 20, 25K. We're not talking that. It'll be lower amount tickets that we're doing. However, a barrier to enter. When you come in, you have to wear Future Looks Bright gear. We want the room to be filled with people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. So for some of you that want to fly out November 5th, when I tell you what it is and the announcement is finalized, it's going to be crazy. If you don't yet own Future Looks Bright gear, all you have to go get something. Guys, we have a girl, one of Adam's colleagues, posts a video about her wearing this red vitamin hat. And she's walking around. It's like everybody's stopping and says, "You're also Vitainer? You're also Future?" Yeah, I am. It's amazing what's taking place. Vinny, yesterday, if you want, are you comfortable sharing your story? Go ahead.
I had surgery yesterday back at work because that's how we roll. I had a big cyst removed from my lower back, and I'm in, getting ready pre-op. All the needles are on my arm. I'm ready to go in. A Cuban guy eating a protein bar walks by, stops in his tracks, and goes, "Mira, Vicente PBD podcast," and then he leaves. He grabs 7 people, Tom. I'm surrounded by 7 people, and all they're talking about is how glad and happy they are that what we're doing, how amazing of a leader Pat is, and what America needs is what's happening right now. People were screaming, "Future Looks Bright" in the back, and then one Haitian lady looks at me and goes, "I want you to tell Adam, thank you for sticking up for the Haitians because not all of us eat cats." And I go, "But some people do in Springfield." But Pat, the movement, no joke. And I wanted to address this too, Pat. What you're doing, what you've started, what you've built. I can't even go. Besides coffee, I'm nervous because I'm about to go in there and I could die on an operating table. And I had a group of 7 people around me talking about valuetainment and your vision and what valuetainment is doing.
So Vinny, what was that story about? And by the way,
he's like, "Oh, all of us are slackers, huh?"
Look, if you support what we do, which we appreciate, if you believe Future Looks Bright, we want 1 million people worldwide to sport this gear. So go to vtmerch.com, okay? Represent anything. We got so much gear right now. The flip-flops, we had a few more left for some of you guys. I want to pick it up. That's the only flip-flop I wear, by the way, when I walk the dog, just so you know that. My Jesus feet will only go in that flip-flop when I'm walking the dogs at night. So go to vtmerch.com, place your order. There's a bunch of new gear there as well. And if you want to come to that party on November 5th, you got to wear Future Looks Bright. We're going to make videos. It's going to be sick. It's going to be all over the place. Millions of views. It'll be a lot of fun.
They have no idea.
No,
I don't think they know what the heck you're talking about.
I can't tell them yet, but it'll be exciting when it gets finalized. Okay. So let's get into one of the stories. But by the way, don't worry. We're still going to perform for you, but it's going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's got to happen. It's got to happen naturally, organically, because that's how Tom likes it. So, all right. So let's go through a couple of stories. Rob, the first story I want to go with is the Mark Cuban story, okay? I think just out of respect to a guy who has done very well in his life financially, let's go to the story right there. So Fox News, this is all over the place. Mark Cuban says he would buy Fox News and X if he had an in, okay? Go up a little bit for me to read this time. I'm going to come to you first here. Mark Cuban says he would buy Fox News and X, formerly Twitter, but purchasing both media properties remains a distant possibility for the Shark Tank star. He told Wired Lauren Good that Fox News was too expensive and Elon Musk was unlikely to sell X, as if Fox is worth more than X. The Shark Tank star, Mark Cuban, says he would buy Fox News and X if he could. Cuban expressed his interest in acquiring both media properties during a wide-ranging interview that was published. If I had enough money to do it, which I don't, I'd buy it in a heartbeat, both of them. So he knows, by the way, my generation was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I never thought they would be the Fox News generation, Cuban told New York Times. Keep going, Laura. People I knew were smoking pot, listening to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and protest songs. The idea that those are the people condemning Black Lives Matter and watching Fox News in droves, it's upsetting to me. You have no idea. But Cuban said Fox News will be far too expensive of an investment. Should it even come up on the market, he estimates a net acquisition about $15 to $20 billion. I don't have $15 to $20 billion in cash sitting around. Getting X is also a distant possibility. I wish I could. There's no reason for him to sell it. Anyway, so Tom, when you hear this, what's he doing here? Is he trying to get eyeballs, or is he being intentional? Is he just being straight up?
This is a poke at Elon. Mark Cuban is attempting to get attention and to inject himself into as many conversations as he can. And I love his answer here. You know, I was around in college when people were smoking pot and listening to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Okay. And now they're watching Fox News and everything. Oh, so Mark, so it bothers you when people grow up and mature and are worried about crime, taxes, and immigration. I'm sorry, Mark. It worries that these people grow up and take a new viewpoint and find a channel that they like that is covering the news without bias on topics they like. So he's injecting himself into this, but I think you got to look at some of his statements because the reflection's not there. So you would buy, so look, let me see if I understand this. You would buy Fox News to destroy the ratings by changing the programming. Well, that's fine. You know, that is sort of the liberal playbook. That's what happened. That's what Zaslav did to CNN. You know, he bought something, destroyed the ratings. So Cuban is looking for attention. It was a boring day, and he goes in with this. And then, oh, I would buy X. What would you do if you bought X? Oh, you would turn it back. You'd turn it back into something else. So if you don't like what they're saying, you buy them and shut them down or change them. That's not a very good look for Mark.
Vinny.
I don't know. I think from the video that we saw last week, Pat, about him with Trump, I think Tom just nailed it. Anything to be in the news, anything to be relevant. I mean, think about it. Trump, another assassination attempt on Trump, and then out comes Mark Cuban talking about I want to buy this and buy that. He's even saying he doesn't have the money. Yeah, I don't have the money, but I would. It's like he needs to just go away. I think you know what this is, Pat? Having too much money and you have nothing to do. He has nothing to do with it. And I get what you said. I know we talked about him potentially having a run, which, you know what? If he wasn't so like left-sided and kind of going, you know, TDS, that'd be someone that I would actually consider. But this type of mentality, this type of like, you know, TDS brain, I don't even know how to call it, deformation. I'm not a fan of that.
Although I think he's suffering more from EDS.
What's
Elon.
That? Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
is it more TDS or is it more EDS?
I think with Cuban, it's more EDS because Elon's ahead of him. Mark Cuban's very competitive. Elon's way ahead of him. That probably bothers him a lot once they get into the stage, thinking about running.
And ahead, Pat, yeah, well, you can't catch him, though. Elon's literally a rocket ship. Like, he's a rocket ship. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. Literally. You're not going to catch that dude, bro. Like, stay in your lane.
I just think Cuban is, you know how you talk about phases of life? We all have seasons of life, right? From 0 to 20, just don't mess it up. 20 to 40, go make your money. 40 to 60, work on your purpose. And then 60 plus, leave a legacy, give back, everything with that. I think he's sort of on the tail end of 3 entering 4. Just look at the last 20, 25 years of Mark Cuban's life. He bought the Mavericks in 2000 for $280 million. Okay, they're now valued at $3.5 billion. Mm-hmm. Clearly the guy did well on his investment. He sold a large portion of it to Miriam Adelson, the late widow of Sheldon Adelson, the multi-billion-dollar magnate out there in Vegas, the casino guy. You know, I don't know exact percentage of what he sold to the Mavericks. I think he's still the controlling owner. I don't know the exact number, but he was the main guy, and now there seems to be some partnership there. But Mark is worth $6 billion. He's looking at the landscape. Is this what it is? 27%. Cuban retains 27%. So he's not even the controlling managing partner of the Mavericks right there. What's my point? This is his last season on Shark Tank.
No, he remains in charge of basketball operations, so control of the basketball operations. Okay,
so he remains control, but
he does.
He still retains 27%.
He's just not
stake.
a majority owner.
Gotcha. He still runs. He's the managing partner, but doesn't own control. But I think this is the last season that he's doing Shark Tank. He came out and announced this is, I think, the 16th season, I want to say, of Shark Tank. He's saying this is my last one. Here it is. He's announced at his podcast last week that he will leave Shark Tank after this.
He has a
upcoming
podcast.
Year. Exactly.
On a podcast. On a podcast. Yeah.
So my point is this. We've talked about Cuban a bunch of times over the last few weeks, months, what have you. He's clearly looking for his next venture. Yeah. It's no longer going to be Shark Tank. He's probably not going to focus on the Mavericks. And he's clearly trying to go the media political route. And I think he's sort of a man without a home because I said a white billionaire is not exactly the archetype of the current Democratic Party.
So here's what I would say. A couple things about Mark. There's levels in every game. I have money. I don't have Mark type of money. Mark has money. Mark doesn't have Musk type of money. It's a very different type of money. Mark's worth $5 billion, right? Elon's worth $250 billion.
Jeez.
One can buy a sports team, the other one can buy a small country. These are two different levels of wealth we're talking about, right? On what's going on. So that's frustrating. The part that I think with Mark is, what is one of the most annoying things in life that only you go through? Is you ever hear me talk about ambitious yet lazy?
Yes.
You hear ambitious and lazy? I think Mark sits there and says, I put 20 years into the Mavs, right? He's owned the Mavs for how long, Tom? 20 years?
Since 2000, yes. 24 years.
Mark's a smart guy. Okay, Mark's a smart guy. But Mark bought a team at what age? How old was Mark when Mark bought a sports team?
He's probably in his early 40s because he's, 65 now? How old is Mark?
Mark bought a sports
math.
team. Mark is how old right now? He's 66. When did he buy the Mavs? Did he buy them in 2000?
So he's 42.
So 42. So he bought the Mavs.
It's a beast move.
It is a beast move. However, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. He bought the Mavs to operate it on a daily basis, okay? When you do that, you are going to make some money. But to make the kind of money that's 100x, 200x, 300x, that's what you have to run a business like a Tesla. You have to start it. It's a startup. It's all of that stuff. He didn't do that. He could have done that. He didn't choose to do that. He chose to take his money from Yahoo. And then after Yahoo lost all their money that they gave to him, that business was worth not much based on what you read about, zero. It was worth, can you imagine they give him the money that they give him 6 months later, they park it. The business is gone. Nothing. Wow. So he wants to compete with two guys and he missed the mark. Now, again, he's 66. Trump ran for president in 2016 and won. That's only 8 years ago. He was 70 years old. Mark Cuban's going to be 70 in 4 years. He is one of the leading candidates that I think is going to run for office in 2028. And by the way, when the interview comes out with The Rock, which is coming out tomorrow, by the way, the whole interview is going to come out to The Rock tomorrow. And you guys will see the conversation about, it's going to be very, very, so one question I asked The Rock about his audience, I think Mark would need to ask the same question about it as well, but that comes out tomorrow. I think Mark's Cuban wiring and values and principles would be more of a fit for him to buy CNN and TikTok over buying X and Fox, because CNN and TikTok are more about controlling speech and propaganda and things like that, and he would do well in an environment like that.
And ESG.
Yeah, I think that's his.
Pat, what was your specific comment of being ambitious and lazy?
He's not the kind of a worker that Musk is. He's not. Musk is different. Okay. Musk is different. He's not at Musk's level of work ethic. He's not. He's more the entertainer. Okay. And the level of intelligence that Musk has is just different. Look, you can be upset and sit there and say whatever you want to say. That guy's worth $250 million. You're worth $5 billion. Okay. It's 50x. Anyways, again, let's go to the next story here, leading story, which we haven't talked about yet. The assassination attempt on President Trump. Another one that's 2 in 2 months. I think Vinny's tweet was the best tweet that said, look at the trend with the dates. If you want to go to it, where it's like, hey, on this date, it's 16 days later, they do this. If you can just go
a little bit down, Rob.
Go to
Robbie. Keep going. That was weird. Right there, Rob.
Okay, watch this. So on June 27th, Trump destroyed Biden in a debate. It wasn't even like Biden even didn't show up, right?
Yes.
16 days later, there's an assassination attempt on his life. September 10th, Trump debates Kamala. 5 days after the debate, an ABC whistleblower's affidavit is released showing that ABC colluded with Kamala's campaign, proving illegal collusion. On September 15th, 5 days later, there's an assassination attempt. Is there anyone noticing a trend? It's a very good question Vinny's asking here, right, that we have to be answering. So let me do this. Let me give you some of the fact sheet, and let's kind of talk about it openly with all of us. I'll open it up to you guys here. So, Rob, can you go to vtnews.ai and just go to the AI and ask the question what we know about the shooter while I'm reading this fact sheet? So, number one, just go to it and say, what do we know about the shooter, Trump shooter? Let's see what comes up. Yeah. Go up a little bit. There you go. The other way for the right where you were going. Yeah. Okay. So Trump shooter, could you please? Yeah. Maybe you have to ask the specific questions about the shooter.
Yeah. Ryan Routh.
Yeah. What do you know about the shooter, Ryan? Yeah. Put
Routh.
the name out there.
Routh.
Routh. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Let's see what he says here to us. Ryan, a 58-year-old man, was arrested allegedly attempting to assassinate former President Trump while Trump was golfing in Florida. Here are some key details. He self-published a book titled Ukraine's Unwinnable War.
On Amazon, and guess what? 0 reviews. And I tried to write a review, and it says Amazon has stopped the reviewing process.
In which he expressed negative views about Trump, calling him a buffoon. In his book, Routh suggested that Iran should assassinate Trump and himself for voting for Trump. What? Routh's book, which sells for $2.99 on Amazon, contains graphic content and discusses various global issues. He has a criminal history and has made small donations to the Democratic Party. Routh's social media presence reveals a history of activism, including efforts to recruit fighters for Ukraine against Russia. He traveled to Ukraine following the Russian invasion and called for U.S. military personnel to join the fight there. He made 19 contributions totaling $140 to Act Blue, indicating support for Democratic Party. Okay. His social media activity included over 500 posts on X, showcasing a wide range of political views and including support for figures like Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. Interesting. The Secret Service intervened in Routh's apparent assassination attempt. Leading to it, it's important to note that the situation was described as an attempted assassination and that Secret Service successfully prevented it. Okay, let me read this here. Location of the attempt, okay, was at the Trump International Golf Club, okay, and the suspect was positioned near a fence roughly 300 to 500 yards away. We know that. Timeline, it took place early afternoon with authorities alerted around 1:30 p.m. when a man with a rifle was spotted near the golf course. Okay. Suspect's background, we just read it. On what he said, he was a convicted felon who had recently returned from Ukraine. Authorities are investigating his possible political motivations. We'll find out more about that. Weapon, AK-47 style rifle, equipped with a scope and with firearm serial number, had been obliterated, rendering it's untraceable. The rifle was found fully loaded, suggesting premeditation. Cell phone data. Investigators used Routh's cell phone data to trace his movements. His phone records indicated that he had been lingering the area for 12 hours starting 1:59 a.m. in the morning till 1:31. Secret Service responds by firing at the suspect when they spotted him along the perimeter of the golf course. Despite shots being exchanged, there were no reported injuries. Items recovered. Additional to the rifle, backpack with a GoPro camera, which was likely intended to record the attack. Okay, great. Chase and arrest. He fled the scene in a vehicle and law enforcement pursued him on Interstate 95, where he was eventually apprehended. He is currently being held without bail. Charges, 2 federal gun charges, boom. Prior assassination attempt, we talked about that. That we have a suspect lone actor. He's a lone actor. Political and security repercussions. We kind of talked about that. Routh's legal repercussions. We talked about vehicle identification, identified traffic camera footage, aiding law enforcement and tracing him down. He had left. Okay, federal involvement. FBI is leading the investigation. Golf course security, political climate. Okay, so Tom, you hear a story like this. This happens exactly, give or take, 60 days later. Is this him, Rob? Is this him being interviewed?
This is, yes, the shooter was interviewed. This is while he's in Ukraine, explaining why he's in Ukraine and what he's doing.
Okay, let's see what he has to say and how he talks.
Tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another.
Brainwashed.
It's just a matter of...
Okay, you can stop that. Tom, your thoughts on the story here, what happened?
So somewhere between, you know, abject surveillance and no-knock, searches. And guys like this, you know, it's not that guns need to be registered. It's that a guy like this with the criminal history like this, why is he still walking around? This isn't a guy who has robbed 10 7-Elevens and is poor and destitute and keeps robbing $200 from a 7-Eleven. This guy has an active history basically saying, I have a screw loose and I would like to assassinate someone, and I am traveling to the Ukraine trying to recruit people for a war. Now he comes back here They're able to monitor. He was on a list, a watch list of some sort, but nobody did anything about it. And so the shocking thing to me is, why is this guy walking around? I mean, how many times was he arrested, Robbie? Have that? Did I see 72 individual arrests?
No way.
And detainments?
Is that the amount?
Yeah. How many times was he arrested?
I'm taking a look now and looking.
Yeah, it's
Go
crazy.
on VTNews.ai, Robin. Check that.
So, Pat, it's just nuts that the guy with this history is still walking around, number one. And number two, separate, the Secret Service, in the midst of all this, where we're trying to figure out about this guy, there's a quiet little voice in the middle of the fog. And it said, we've always said golf courses are really difficult places for the president. Really? Just 2 months after you had the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, now you're saying, we always knew it was difficult? Well, if you always knew it was difficult, why weren't you taking extra care right now? The dialogue hasn't gotten hot enough for the Secret Service to be taking extra care when he plays golf at a place with his name on it? Come on, guys, right? You know better. Perimeter, I play a lot of golf and been to a lot of places. The perimeter fences, these golf courses, is not hard to secure and patrol. Not hard at all. And so the little voice in the middle of this, we've always said it's hard to secure the perimeter. So it's the Secret Service giving itself an excuse and an out in the middle of the fog of the reporting, where we find out that this complete loon is still allowed to walk around. Those two things really piss me off.
Vinny.
Okay, excuse me, I want to be hydrated for this rant period. But let's take a step back to my tweet, Pat, that you helped me. The debate happens. Everybody, dude, it was, remember, for the past how many years, Kamala hasn't been able to speak. She talks like she's talking to 4-year-olds. She's, talks about time. Then all of a sudden she comes on the debate and she's somebody completely different. We talked about maybe the earring, maybe this, maybe whatever. She looks fantastic, and all the questions and all the rumors of cheating started happening. And then the day that this happens, there's the affidavit from ABC, the guy that was working there for 10 years, that said they cheated, period, called election interference, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it cheating. So that comes out. Then the assassination attempt happens. And by the way, this guy with his footprint that you just said, Tom, all over the internet, they're not going after people like that. They're going after people that are posting memes or stuff online about Joe Biden. I think Rob has that video for later, PBD. But let's not forget, this debate is 48 days from now, Pat. You've said this from the beginning. They're not going to stop. Okay, they're not going to stop. I think there's going to be another attempt. I want to ask you guys what you guys think. And here's my question, Pat. And again, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. The left gets away with literal murder. They have been going after this guy since 2016. Over and over, from the lawfare, from everything, and nothing's happening. Pat, what is our side doing? I'm not saying go in the street or try to do anything crazy, but where's the anger? They tried to go after our guy again, and nobody's doing anything. What if, Pat, I'm being dead serious, what if they tried to do this to Barack Obama? What would the United States look like right now if they literally tried to shoot Barack Obama twice?
Well, you know what would happen, and that's simply because who owns the media is going to dictate what direction this story is going to go with. By the way, watch this. So Musk tweets something. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, Rob. If you want to find it, I'll tell you what it is and you can go look for it. He says, why are they trying to kill Trump? Some guy asks Elon.
Yeah.
Elon retweets or responds to the guy and he says, and no one wants to kill Kamala and Biden.
Yeah.
Right? He asked that question. So immediately the left jumps on Elon saying he's inciting violence, right? He's inciting. No one is trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala. So here's what's going to happen here. This is my opinion. By the way, the guy from the Libertarian Party, Rob, if you have that, I don't know if you have a tweet of what this guy said. If you have it, do you have it? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, and then you have to watch his 2-minute video, and I'm going to give you my opinion, what I think is about to happen.
Okay.
And we have to be very, very okay. Isn't this guy trying?
This is the guy that the FBI went to his house.
Yeah, it's weird that no one ever tries to assassinate the actual president. Isn't that the guy in charge of everything? That's not the tweet. That's not the tweet. That's not the tweet. He put something wrong.
With Joe Biden on it?
Oh, guys, I'm going to tell you what he puts on the tweet.
Okay.
And for the FBI to show up to his doorstep. So, Rob, I just send it to you. If you can receive it, I don't know if you're seeing it. I'm sending it to your text. Are you seeing it, Robert? Yeah. No. Okay. Pull that up. This is the tweet. And it comes from, I believe, from the main Libertarian Party account from New Hampshire. Okay. Which, you guys know, many of the libertarian ideas I'm fully supportive of. I think there's a part of me that relates to a libertarian. So here's what he says. Sarah Bella says, I disagree with the assault weapon ban, Vinny, but maybe save the threatening rhetoric. He responds, anyone who murders Kamala Harris will be an American hero. Okay.
Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then,
out of line.
Then, by the way, a lot of famous influencers retweeted and said, this is freedom of speech and part of America. You can say this. So then the FBI shows up to this front door. Rob, if you want to play this clip on what happens here. So, and by the way, this is all going to come back to the assassination attempt on Trump because Trump even did an interview yesterday. This is FBI. We think they're the FBI.
Yeah,
showing up to his doorstep. Go on and play this clip, Rob.
Hey, how can I help you?
I don't think that these guys are FBI, but watch.
Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
Major O'Donnell with the FBI.
Can you give your full name, please?
Major O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as the only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI?
In New Hampshire, yes.
Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
Nope.
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Krasenstein's cousin.
Sir, could you stop recording, please?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going
This
to go
guy
back inside
seems
my
like
house.
he knows what he's doing. He's been arrested before.
Yeah, look.
Yes.
Broadcast.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away. So you can show me your name or ID. You can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Good point.
You see our badge?
Yeah, a badge.
I need to see. Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
I prefer you not to broadcast it.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
And he did, by the
All I
way.
want to
I
do is stop
love it.
Watch
I
this.
love
notice that was made, and if you
Well,
happen to be the one that made the
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures?
50% taxes.
Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any.
No, you're coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken, and that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home?
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're walking away.
Yeah.
Because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are fuckheads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards.
I love this.
Drive away.
Okay, so
Drive
this guy
away.
is who
by the
exactly?
way,
He's the guy
so
that did that tweet about.
it's the same
Kamala
guy
Harris?
that did the tweet from apparently libertarian New Hampshire. So one, how do you feel about the tweet? Two, the response. Tom.
So I'll weigh in. So people know that back in early 2000s, 2000 and 2006, I was involved in video games on the mobile side. Do you know there's laws that prevent you from, like, at the time there was the early versions of a game called Grand Theft Auto. Tremendous amount of murder and mayhem happen in that game. You know what you cannot do in a video game by law? Hunt, threaten, or kill the president. You cannot depict a character in a video game or make part of the video game that my character can go kill the president. You can't do that. It's not legal. And so there are laws out there about specifically threatening the president, and there are laws out there about depicting his murder. What's interesting here is I don't know why the FBI, with all that there, they could have told the guy, we'd like you to come from us. But what they don't want is the wrongful arrest suits. That's what they don't want. And so they sent two guys out with a clipboard to basically attempt to ask questions in such a way that he would permit them to sit down and conduct an interview without any sort of a warrant or permission to enter the premises. The guy may be a loon, but he actually did the right thing, saying, excuse me, can you identify yourself? All I'm asking, here's your badge. I could buy a badge and a fake gun too. Where is your identification? He's got federal identification. He just didn't want to show it, which leads me to believe, is that even his name or is that the street name he uses? Because most federal agents that conduct things use street names as well as their real names. And so just doesn't want to do it.
So let me ask you, you said two different things. I just went online right now and typed in whether in a video game you can kill somebody. And a
president?
Kill a president. Came up with games that let you assassinate high-profile targets like presidents, okay? Don't verify. I don't play video games, so I couldn't tell you if this is true or not, but this is what came up. The Assassin's Creed game, okay? You often assassinate people of importance. In one, you assassinate the Pope, okay? Dishonored,
nice.
Okay? And the other one is called the Elder Scrolls game. And the Hitman series, Mark of the Ninja, right? These are some of the video games. And I went to the Hitman Blood Money. I don't know if you tap in Hitman Blood Money. Game from 06. Yeah. Apparently here, this guy in this movie, in this video game, you get to kill a vice president or something, right? So you're saying this, Tom, okay? And say that's true. And I hope it's true.
You can't put the true character of the vice president. You can't put
you can put a fake vice president to kill a fake, but not the real character in there. Okay, but still, So as the U.S. president was planning to realize cloning, the franchise was hired to assassinate him so that their puppet, the U.S. vice president, would replace him. 47 found himself hired by a CIA agent whom he rescued. And is this serious?
Well, this is the plot of the game.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, is this serious that in the plot of the game, 47 found himself hired by a CIA agent? Currently, we're on 4. Okay. By the way, let me go back to this. Number one, is there anything wrong with his tweet, Tom?
His tweet.
Can I see the tweet again one more time, please?
Vinny, I'm going to come to you as well. Okay. Anyone who murders Kamala Harris will be an American hero.
Okay. It's on the edge because he's not asking for it. He's like, anyone who does this would be an American hero. So it's
I'm not comfortable with this.
This is bad. This is not good. I am surprised. What I'm saying is, I'm surprised that the FBI went with the soft approach, trying to get a citizen to agree to sit down for an interview. Why not? If you do something like this, you can be arrested.
And Rob has a video I sent PBD of because Trump posted all the left's rhetoric against him because the left has been trying to blame him for his own assassination attempt.
I 100% agree.
Okay, and PBD, this, as bad as it is, he's not calling for actual violence. And I'm sorry if you believe in the First Amendment, he didn't. He is walking on the edge. I wouldn't post something like that. But then going to them, identifying yourself, you have to identify yourself. Even if a cop or anybody they're recording.
Sure, these are two different questions. Yeah. Isolate each.
I think that one.
Let's isolate each.
Yes.
Rob, go to the first one.
The tweet, bad, but not illegal. I wouldn't
illegal?
do something. I don't agree.
You're right. It's not illegal.
I don't like it.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you the second question.
Yes.
So you would never tweet something like
Never.
Okay. So if you're running Twitter, your name is Elon Musk, what do you do with this tweet?
If he wants to be the platform of free speech, PBD, he can't do it unless he's actually calling for violence and saying somebody go do it or I want to do it.
Tom.
That's a slippery slope.
If it was my platform, I would leave it there, freedom of speech, but I would say, you're probably going to get a visit. Dude, you're probably going to get more than a visit.
Adam.
Yeah, I would want to visit that day. I totally understand free speech and being a free speech absolutist, but the slippery slope is when you actually try to incite violence or... the whole hate speech thing is where do you draw the line on that? Okay. This to me is you're crossing the line.
Okay.
You're using one word called murder. Yeah. Knock, knock, motherfucker.
But Rob has it, people, if you want to see it. The amount of stuff that's along that line right there was said out of the mouth of mainstream media and Hillary Clinton, everybody, and Rob has the clip. Where was the FBI going to their house?
This says anyone who murders...
Yeah.
Go back to it. Let's read it specifically. Anyone who murders, this is specific. Specific. Edifying a person who does the job as a hero. That's what this is doing. Now go play the other clip that you're talking about, Rob.
Okay.
If you can play that clip. So I think I've seen that as well. Go ahead and play this clip.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish. I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
That you cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
President Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
When they go low, we kick.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Okay, so there that is.
Oh, and PBD, the last one, Machleta, he has, so Rick Wilson said this. Rob, you have this one, right? He's the founder of Intrepid Media. This is what he said.
Is this the one that you're talking about?
I just slacked it.
He was a Lincoln Project guy with
Rick Wilson says, like, he literally says, like, calls to put a bullet in Donald Trump, and nothing has happened to this guy.
I'll play that in 1 second.
Yep.
I want to play this. This came out Saturday, right before the assassination attempt. So it's odd
Before?
timing. And this, yes, this is Rick Wilson, the same guy you're talking about.
Okay.
Here's a clip of him talking about how Donald Trump wants to get somebody murdered.
About the real life impact of running amok with insane lies like the ones they're spreading in Springfield.
I'm going to be very blunt. I think Trump wants someone to be killed. I think they want this violence to escalate. I think they want to then say these migrants have caused the violence. They brought this on themselves. Look at our cities on fire because these terrible people from faraway lands who happen to be dark skinned. This is a racist playbook that goes back well before Hitler. This goes well before.
And let me grab the other one.
But yeah, the other one's there. Mind you, I completely forgot.
Guys, I have very strong opinions here. So if you want to play that other clip and then go to it.
Yeah, this one right here, PBD. This is him. No, the one before, underneath. Yeah, there it is. Listen to this guy. Same guy,
that you
PBD.
just heard saying that Donald Trump wants to get somebody murdered.
Yes.
And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. And
Okay, they're going to have to go. So that rhetoric, because it's coming from one side.
That's on MSNBC?
That's on MSNBC. He said this.
So let me tell you what we're flirting with here. This is how long ago, Rob? That last one you put, the last one you
Rick
showed?
Wilson was
I'll have to take a look. I'm not sure.
A couple years ago, PBD.
Okay. So this is what we're flirting with right now. Because there is a faction of people in America that want to see some countries separate themselves from others. Yesterday, this guy comes and interviews me on his podcast, on his show, and he talks to me about all this. I said, listen, if I built my own, if we ran our own country, it was a hypothetical question he's asking. I said, the way you would vote in my country, you would have to earn the right to vote. Now, obviously, until that day, that's a hypothetical conversation that's being had, right? Yeah. It's not like a real thing where we get to run a country and create our own standards where you got to contribute to be able to do that, which people that don't want to contribute, you wouldn't like our country and go for it. So I actually understand the people that want to see certain states leave the what do you call it? The union, like say Texas go its own country, Florida be its own country. I understand the argument that people are making. I get it. I fully understand. If that's what you want to see happen.
Yes.
If you want to see a full-on that taking place. If that's what you want, yeah, you need a lot of posts like this. But let me tell you what's going to happen here. Okay? And I'm at it where it's inevitable that this is about to take place. Do you remember, I've had God knows how many people are on the rap side because I've always been fascinated with hip hop rap. I was a big Tupac guy. What happened? Who got killed first? Okay? Who got killed first? Tupac or Biggie?
Oh, great question. Was it Tupac first?
Tupac got killed first. Okay. Yeah. And after what? After what hit song that came out?
Hit 'em up. Talking about California.
Right?
Yeah.
About
New York.
Chino XL.
Yeah.
By the way, he just passed away. Yeah. So all the rest in peace. All these guys that they're talking about hit them up and boom, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
West Coast, East
Then
Coast.
what happened? Then
Biggie.
Tupac gets shot. Then Biggie. Then Diddy and Snoop come together at this award ceremony. Yeah, if you type
Source
in Diddy,
Awards.
the Source Awards. By the
one?
way, just put the picture and don't even put video. Just put the Source Awards, and go to the image. Okay, Snoop and Diddy, they're doing an interview. They look so
shook,
nervous. Okay, I don't know. That's not the one.
You put interview,
they look
Rob.
so nervous. Why? Because they know they're next.
Actually, it was Tupac. It was Tupac and Snoop, right?
No. Tupac's dead at this point. Okay, they're sitting there doing an interview. It's after both of them are dead, and they're trying to bring the peace because they know one by one, others are going to go.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to play this game, which is freedom of speech, I'm able to say this. Okay, fine. Go ahead and say it if you think that's freedom of speech. I'm just telling you, what comes next, you best be ready for it. Because it'll go 0 to not ugly, not chaotic, catastrophic very quickly. And when I mean very quickly, I mean very, very, very quickly. You don't want that. Okay, you don't want something like that to be taking place. If you do, now, by the way, if somebody says, at the cost of what? Are you willing to avoid that taking place at the cost of freedom? No. Are you willing to do that at the cost of, you being able to do what you want to do, what the government doesn't control? No. If we're getting there, I'm in. If we're getting there. But the goal is to prevent temperatures ever getting to that point. When I left and started my own insurance company, I never wanted to leave. But they cornered me, and they forced that event to be taking place. If we play this game, you're cornering for this to happen. And if it happens on the left and the right, chaos. By the way, why will it not happen on the left? Because this has got nothing to do the left or the right. This has got who is controlled by the establishment media, by the establishment people, who is not. The people that are, why would you take them out? The people that are not, got to be careful with that, right? Because these guys, you can't control them. The temperatures are so high right now that Trump's camp won. There needs to be a real conversation about protection where, not being too sloppy. Like, you know how I am? I like to walk around people.
100%.
I don't mind being around people, right? But then Sam will come and say, no, we need to get XYZ. The other day, we're doing a book signing. 550 people show. A lot of weird things happen.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen in that place. No. They don't allow, so what are we doing there? But I love being around people. I can understand how much Trump wants to be around people, but this is a different situation.
Do you, so Pat, if you're in charge of his detail and his thing, because remember me and you had this conversation, he's not going to do it, but do you tell him and have a conversation like, listen, you're on a golf course, you're out there. I saw a video of MSNBC, Pat, they're recording him, MSNBC, him just playing golf. I think it might have been a day, if they can see you on a camera and they're not even supposed to be there, a sniper can easily see you if they want to. Do you tell him to stop, to slow down?
No, I can't do that because then you're asking the man to not be himself. I can't do that. All I'm doing is you can never. A person at this level of alpha, he's the alpha of alphas. You can't tell him not to do that. All you got to say, Mr. President, we know you like to golf. We know you want to do XYZ. Can we create certain systems?
Yeah.
Can we create certain systems and protocols where we can do our jobs? Yes. Number two, I'm going to have the entire community on whoever Trump's camp is, MAGA, all those guys, go after the U.S. government to give them 24/7 protection. There's 48 days left. If you have a couple $100 billion to give to Zelensky, you mean to tell me you can't spend $50 million of protection on Secret Service right now to give it to him? And it's not even going to cost $50 million. It's going to end up costing you between now and the end of the year, say $10 million. You don't have the money to do that? Come on, government. You printed $6 trillion just a few years ago. You can do that. I would be more intentional. I think they're playing with fire. And if we keep allowing this temperature to keep going up, all of a sudden, when this happens,
it's like a light that's going to.
No, bro. When the first domino goes, you can't stop it. It's over with. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, and it goes to the security thing. Rob, can you see if the story on the assassination attempt, because from BBC.com, and it shows you the overhead view of the golf course, and Pat, you're going to see here how easy it would have been. It wouldn't take $10 million. Look how easy it is to patrol the perimeter of this particular golf course right there. Okay. Take a look. The area where the sniper was found. Those are 2 city streets in a corner. How hard it is to have a vehicle patrol. How hard it is to have a drone. Do you see that, Pat?
Yeah.
Look how easy it is to secure the perimeter of the golf course. You treat it like it's a jungle with a bunch of trees. No, just look at the perimeter. You could have drones just going down the street the way they do now when they want to watch somebody. And so it just shocks me the Secret Service can't do this. But I'd be saying the same thing that you're saying, Pat. Hey, guys, we need to elevate the security here. The man is an alpha. He's going to go play golf today. So we have to have put the drones up, get the full security on the perimeter. Everything will be fine. The suspect came down that street and was getting between the fence there. It was so easy to frickin' find. And so it's also, not only is it putting the money out, Pat, to have the security there, it's the security force doing, which is a damn easy job when you look at the actual perimeter of the golf course.
Yeah, Tom, you make a great point because when I was stationed in Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, a nuclear missile base, let's say, Rob, where that dot is, where that Trump is playing golf, we would be an alert response team. We would be driving around. There had to be a patrol constantly patrolling to make sure, Adam, that nobody was approaching. Not like the threat was high, but they're working on a nuke. Just your presence. Like when you go to like some of these Target, one of these places, there's a cop car just sitting there, Tom. Nobody's in it. It's a deterrent. And that's one thing. Have somebody driving around. Doesn't cost that much money. And number 2, the guy golfs in a white shirt and a red hat. Like, wear some camouflage, dress in green. I'm being serious.
No, he can wear whatever he wants. Look at the corners here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Tom,
8
car.
corners.
Yeah, but Tom, one car driving
and
around.
You'd have line of sight.
Yeah.
8 cars, and you would have lateral line of sight through the entire perimeter.
And Pat, you said he was there from 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. You mean that guy was there for how many hours and nobody was around there?
Apparently, he was there for 12 hours.
Jeez,
and
unbelievable.
I agree with Tom that there needs to be better detail here, but. You know, the guy that shot Trump the first time. By the way, Trump is lucky to be alive. Pause.
Yeah.
Like got shot in the face and the ear. 1 inch over, this guy's not the candidate anymore. Here's an opportunity right here, another one. So where did they find the first guy? On the roof. Okay.
In front of everybody. Yeah.
Where do you think you're going to find this guy on the golf course? Behind some trees. Some things are pretty obvious here. So I'd be having details sweep during the daytime. There's no reason there's nobody golfing at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. But if I'm Trump... And I totally understand that he needs to be himself and he's the alpha. Dude, you got 50 days to try to do one thing, not get shot again.
Yeah.
And if it means controlling the controllable, not playing golf for a couple months, maybe you need to do that. This is an opportunity. Like, where's Trump going to get shot? Probably being outside.
Yes.
So there's 4 things, there's 4 elements here. If you're Trump, you know, he came out and said, I'm going to do rallies. I don't care what you tell me to do. I'm going to do them. They went and they got him glass.
And he walked around.
And he walked out of the glass to help some lady. So at what point, Trump, it's like, dude,
I mean,
we're doing everything we can to keep you safe and protected. Play ball with us a little bit. But if you're Trump, hey, man, you do what you got to do.
You know, presidents have classically crossed over the line and says, hey, I'm not doing it. Gerald Ford is the last U.S. president where there was 2 assassination attempts. And the first one, he should have been killed. Squeaky Fromm mischambered the weapon and got right up to him.
I believe Manson people?
Yes, she was from
Charles
Manson.
Yeah.
She got right up there and she held it below abdomen 18 inches.
Crazy.
And she clicked it and it misfired because it didn't fire because it wasn't chambered. And the Secret Service guys came unglued and pinned her to the ground. 2 weeks later, or maybe 3, it was, I believe what was her name? Sarah Jane Moore. She fired 2 shots from a crowd until the Secret Service and 3 people in the crowd kind of took her to the ground, Sarah Jane Moore. So, but why did the second time happen? Because Ford refused to not walk among the people. Gerald Ford, who played football and was a man's man, said, you need to put the security up, but I am not going to stop shaking hands with the American people. And he refused. And so he put himself there. So your job is security. And sometimes the presidents are like, I'm the alpha. You're not going to find me in the basement.
Would you say that Trump is more of a target than Gerald freaking Ford? I would say so.
Yeah, no doubt.
But in this case, security can be provided so that the alpha can be himself.
Okay. To me, this isn't about alpha or not alpha. It's, can you be alive for the next 50 days during this election? I mean, the chaos that would happen in this country, God forbid he got killed 2 months ago or even today. I think, I don't know if he's treating this as serious as it should be. I don't know.
No,
but it seems to me, I would say, Mr. President, listen, for the next 30 days, 50 days, there's no golf.
Yeah, but
there's no outside rallies if you do stay in the glass. We're trying to protect you. By the way, it's not a money thing. They came out and said it's not a money thing. They can certainly dedicate $5, $10, $15 million, whatever it is. It's a manpower thing. It's literally a manpower thing. With all the DEI candidates, we saw what happened.
Of course.
You know, how many Melissa McCarthy's are out there protecting the president? I think they need to hire more people. And then even Biden came out and obviously he gave the whole, you know, there's no room for political violence or political rhetoric. But we do need to have more detail around this guy. But even the sheriff of Palm Beach County said, listen, his name is... There's Ronald Rowe, who's the acting director of Secret Service right there. But then there's the sheriff, Rick Bradshaw. This guy right here's the one that came out there. He said, look, he came out and said what people are thinking. He's not the president. He doesn't have the level of detail that a president would. Yeah, well, I mean, he was the president. He could be the president. Let's step this up a little bit, guys. So... he needs more protection around him, but he also needs to play ball with the protection.
But guys, we're talking about 48 days, Adam. God willing, he wins. He's still going to keep doing the same thing. And I understand he's going to get an upgrade when he's the president. But this is the former president of the United States, and the level of hate that the left puts on him, this is a no-brainer. They have to step it up. But at least Ron DeSantis came out yesterday and said that Florida, right, Rob, is going to take over the investigation, PBD, because I don't know if this might be the one where he says, how could we in our right mind left the FBI and the DOJ find out who's behind this, PBD, when the DOJ's been going after him for this whole time? This is the clip.
By the way, this is a very, very good move by DeSantis. Yeah. Governors can create a parallel investigation, and only governors. And he called for it. So he is creating the investigation. Florida is in pole position on that. And therefore, they control evidence, including evidence retention, rather than maybe evidence, we lost. Yeah. We lost those.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. So DeSantis made a good move here. There's a legal word for it that escapes me at the moment, but it is a legal word that describes the authority of a governor to take over investigations of things like this from the feds.
And just a clip, Rob?
Yeah, there's a clip. Just FYI, from what I heard from reports, that Trump didn't plan on going golf. He went golfing last minute. So how does this guy know, Trump is going to be out there? So, dead serious, bro. People are worried about that.
He golfs every other day. What do you mean?
No, but not today. He wasn't that day. Go ahead, Rob.
Talked to him yet. I did announce yesterday we're going to be doing a state-level investigation. I understand that the feds are involved, but we do believe that there were multiple violations of state law. We also believe that there's a need to make sure that the truth about all this comes out in a way, that's credible. I mean, I look at the federal government with all due respect to them. Those same agencies that are prosecuting Trump in that jurisdiction are now going to be investigating this.
Bingo.
I just think that may not be the best thing for this country. Nevertheless, they have their prerogative, but we have our prerogative. And so we'll be making an announcement further along those lines.
Good for him. Let's transition to the next story, Rob. If you can go to the Bill Ackman tweet. I want to read this on what happened with ABC on the debate side, which is kind of weird on the person that posts this. So there is a tweet that comes out and a story that comes out sharing the breakdown of a letter that a whistleblower from ABC writes. Go all the way to the bottom and then we'll read the email.
Affidavit, PBD. He's for if he gets in trouble, it's perjury jail for a long time.
Okay, so affidavit. So click on this, Rob, from the first one. I want to read the whole thing. Yeah. Click on the first picture, Rob. Right there. Zoom out a little bit. Okay. So here we go. Yeah, zoom in a little bit more for that so I can read it. My name is XYZ. I reside in such and such New York. I've worked for ABC for over 10 years in various technical and administrative positions. Since the acquisition of ABC in 1996, I've observed significant transformation in the nature of the news reporting at the organization. These changes suggest... how would he know since 96 if he's only worked there for 10 years? These changes suggest a shift from unbiased reporting, a model of influence by external factors. For the record, I do not endorse Trump in his capacity as candidate for Trump. The intent of his affidavit is to address concerns regarding perceived biases within the news reporting within my employer's debate that will be hosted on September 10th, 2024. Okay, go to the next one, number 2. Observations of the debate communication. Since the debate of President Trump announced a broadcast on ABC, various members of the staff have expressed hope of a debate where issues that were important to everyday Americans will be discussed. and that there had been promises that the candidates would be held firm to discussions regarding their proposed policy stances, and that the debate would not deteriorate into an ad campaign, whereas both candidates would simply make blanket statements without specific policy or explanation as to, political position clarification. Many employees at ABC who were looking for fair and honest debate questioned for the clear bias that is well known throughout the company. It is common knowledge that debate moderators, as well as chief executive officer of my employer, are well known not to support Trump. This led to several employees speaking up in regards to how to make a fair debate fair. We were given assurances that the debate would be fair, and neither the Harris nor the Trump campaign would have an unfair advantage. Concerns regarding journalistic integrity. It is my belief that contemporary news organizations, including ABC, no longer adhere to impartiality. The influence of commercial interests and substantial donors appear to affect news presentations, resulting in reporting, I personally witnessed news stories being cut from programming and not reported at all due to influence of certain corporations linked to our parent company, XYZ.
The Walt Disney Company is what that says.
Observations pertaining to debate fairness. I have noted specific instances related to the debate between Trump and Kamala that raise concerns, and procedural fairness. The specific instances of perceived bias are as follows. Let's go to the next one. Zoom in a little bit. Rob, the Harris administration received particular accommodations, including but not limited to providing of a podium significantly smaller than the one of Trump, and assurances regarding split-screen television views that would favorably impact Kamala Harris's appearance relative to Donald Trump. It was agreed that Trump would be subjected to fact-checking during the debate, while Kamala Harris would not face comparable scrutiny. This was widely known throughout the company that Donald Trump would be fact-checked. In fact, various people were assigned to fact-check observations it was perceived candidate Trump would make during the debate. In fact, Harris' campaign required assurances that Donald Trump would be fact-checked. This was done via multiple communications with the Harris campaign, whereas the Trump campaign was not included in negotiations. To my understanding, any rule negotiations and conversations pertaining to the debate should have had both Trump and Kamala Harris involved. The Harris campaign had numerous more calls regarding the debate rules, with the Trump campaign aware or on the call. Not aware. Go to the next one, Rob. The Harris campaign was provided with sample questions, while not exact questions, covered similar topics that would appear during the debate. Let's read the next part. Go all the way to the top. Here we go. Furthermore, the Harris campaign imposed restrictions. No questions regarding the perceived health of Joe Biden. No inquiries related to her tenure as Attorney General of San Francisco. No questions concerning her brother-in-law, Tony West, who faced allegations of embezzling billions of dollars in taxpayer funds, who may be involved in her administration if elected. Tony West. So we got to go Google him afterwards. Internal organization climate. I have observed a pronounced bias against Trump within ABC News. Employees express favorable views towards him, experience significant concerns about the potential retribution. Let's go to the next page, Rob. Purpose of documentation of affidavit. This affidavit is executed to document and provide transparency regarding the issues of fairness and impartiality in the debate process, and broader concerns about journalistic integrity at ABC News. And the last page, Rob, if we can go to it to see what he says. Next page. Zoom in. Right. The affidavit has been signed and notarized on September 9th, 2000. So this is it taking place.
Of course.
To ensure that the allegations set forth formally documented prior to. In addition to notarizing this affidavit, I have sent a certified letter to myself, postmarked September 9th, which will remain unopened for any future investigations. This guy
smart, Pat. That's so smart.
I have also dispatched a Federal Express package containing this affidavit on September 9th, delivered to my residence on the 10th, which will remain unopened for potential investigative purposes.
With all the FedEx tracking information.
Are you kidding me?
Gangster.
Furthermore, I have sent a certified letter to Speaker Mike Johnson on the night to establish a record that the correspondence was sent before the debate. Additionally, for further investigation, I have secretly recorded several conversations that will prove that the Harris campaign insisted upon not only fact-checking of Donald Trump, but also insisted on what questions were not to be asked under any circumstances, or else the Harris campaign would decline to participate in the debate. And go to the last page, Rob. Holy moly.
Like Pat cheating, right?
No question. I make these statements under the penalty of perjury and without coercion of any kind. New York, I being sworn here. It's an
affidavit saying I'll go to jail.
So let me see what Bill Ackman said. Go to the top. Bill Ackman, very successful businessman. I think he's worth $9 or $10 billion. Let's see what he writes. An open letter to Bob Iger, right?
Love it.
Dear Bob, I assume that you have been made aware of this. By the way, Bob Iger's career started off with ABC 42 years ago, just so you know.
Wow,
40,
I didn't know that.
He started off with ABC, moved his way up, and then ABC bought Disney. Then he went and started working. So he knows ABC very well.
Gotcha.
Which was made public today, in which a whistleblower states that ABC worked closely with Kamala Harris' campaign in sharing the substance of the questions, avoiding certain topics, et cetera, et cetera. I find the allegations credible, as written also because the affidavit was apparently made and filed the day before. Go to a lower one. While I can't determine the veracity of the allegations, they do match subsequently with what took place during the debate. Moderators have yet to respond to the allegations. Since they have not yet done so, one must draw negative inference in light of the seriousness of the allegations, the implications for this presidential election and for ABC's reputation, thereby Disney's and the office of CEO. I strongly encourage you to launch an immediate investigation of this matter. Our democracy demands on transparency, depends on, wow.
And look what he did. And then Rob, go to his last one 3 hours ago, PBD. He just go to Bill App and go a little bit lower, Robbie. He goes right there, Pat, right there.
Come to think of it, I am going to alert the SEC directly about Disney, ABC, and their misleading response to the whistleblower accusations about the presidential debate. Tom, how do you process all of this?
Very well and very poorly. I don't process it poorly. I process this very well, and it really reflects very poorly on the Walt Disney Company and ABC. First of all, what's interesting here is, do you remember the absolute buzzsaw she ran into with Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes.
What was Tulsi Gabbard talking about? Her record as Attorney General of California incarcerating mostly African-American men for minor drug charges and utilization of the guys that were in there on lesser charges as labor for the state. Remember, that's what Tulsi went after her. So if you look at this affidavit and then you read the part about and anything regarding her being Attorney General, don't want to talk about that. Don't want to talk about Joe Biden, the health of Joe Biden, such as Vice President, you worked with Joe Biden. Were you aware of his deterioration? And what did you do about it as a leader in government to protect American people, to ensure that the president was capable? No questions about that. That was the question that she was not been able to ask, and she's been put into the group about that. So when I look at just those two things, those are such obvious questions. Why didn't they get asked? You know, David Muir could have put it any way. You know, people want someone tough on crime. There's a lot of crime in the United States now. You as Attorney General have been open to certain criticism. That is a softball question. That's not like a TMZ below the belt question. That's very, very basic. So the fact that wasn't in there, I find the affidavit credible, and the recordings is what I think is the shoe to drop. Because I also noted, I haven't seen the full response by David Muir, but David Muir was very careful in the video that I saw, where he said, all of this whining about the debate, who won, who lost, is a lot of noise. I'm moving on. Do you notice in that he doesn't deny any of this? He just says, oh, the noise about the debate and Trump whining about it. But that's the one clip I've seen. I haven't seen the rest or anything written of the response of ABC. But, you know, is ABC going to go out and deny any of this? And then the recordings come out. So I think ABC, if this is all true, is checkmated right now. The only thing they can do is, you know how politicians do the half answers, answer something you want to answer, don't answer the real question. It says, how could you ask that? I've always cared about the American people and the economy when I'm asking about inflation. What did you do about inflation? Why did you do this? That's a ridiculous question. I care about the American people. You know how
of course
you answer that way, but this way, that's what I felt like ABC did. Oh, the noise is just gripes about who won. There's just gripes about it. There always is going to be gripes about the debate. We need to move on. But David Muir and everything I saw from that interview didn't come out and say, we didn't give her any topics. We didn't agree not to ask those questions. Oh, we forgot to ask those questions, and we didn't do any of this. That's not what they're saying. So, Pat, that's how I process it. I think they are checkmated. If they come out with a denial and then the whistleblowers releases recordings of executives actually saying these things, it makes it look double worse for ABC.
But Tom, let me ask you a question though. But because this guy tried to assassinate Trump, you're not even hearing about this. This has been story hold, and this won't even, like, nobody cares about this anymore. And I know that she automatically was like, well, I want another debate. Well, obviously. And I mean, how clear was it, Tom? I know we felt it, but we couldn't really say it because we had no evidence. She was night and day a completely different person. We knew it.
Well, sure. And the news media is going to use any other story to shade the order of the stories and whether even cover it at all. Yeah. So that's going to happen. That's a given. Pat asked me what I thought about it.
Adam,
that's what I think.
Yeah, well, look, I remember we had Ari Fleischer on the podcast probably over a year ago. He was the former
press secretary,
exactly, for George W. Bush. He became famous right after 9/11, everything that he did there. And he basically talked about having a mixed media diet. Remember that term about, all right, cool, maybe if you're on the left, you're liberal, get a little more conservative outlets in there and basically mix it up. If you're more conservative, see what the left is saying. That way you sort of have a larger scope of what's going on out there. But there's a thing called the media bias chart. And Rob, I think it's the next one. Trust in media. And then there's the second thing I sent you. It's a media bias chart. And you could just see for yourself where certain channels or networks basically fall on the chart. You have that, Rob? So ABC, where do you think they are on the chart?
Of trustworthy?
So, yeah. So look, they're just
biased.
There's left, there's center right, and there's right. ABC is first on the list of center left. So we know what game that they're already going to play. Look at the outlets that tend to be a little bit more central. Center, Reuters, Wall Street Journal, a lot of the sources that we pull from. On the right, obviously, you have the Foxes of the world, and on the far right, you have Newsmax, OAN. But on the far left, that's where you see the MSNBCs or the Huffington Post or the Daily Beast. We all understand. But don't get it twisted. ABC, they present themselves as being fair and balanced and independent. No, they're going to be center left, and they're going to basically do what they want to do to push their narrative. So I'm not shocked to hear any of this. I doubt we all are. Call it cheating, call it sort of helping a candidate, whatever component you want to put on it. But is anybody shocked to hear that ABC was sort of rooting for Kamala or helping Kamala?
This is not about being shocked. Yeah. This is very different than being shocked.
Mm-hmm.
This is an affidavit was written a day before, sent to Speaker Johnson, sent to himself, sent FedEx in every way to say, here's what's going to happen. And he ends up being right. Can you go to his brother-in-law, Rob? Who is Kamala Harris's brother-in-law?
So Tony West.
And why is he being protected? What do they fear about him? So, by the way, let's find out who this guy is.
He's married to Kamala's sister.
Wait, Pat, is this the guy that was he was like an Uber? Was he big in the Uber company?
Yeah, he was the senior vice president and chief legal officer for Uber. Yeah. Uh-huh. He also was general counsel for PepsiCo and was the assistant attorney general of the civil division for the Department of Justice.
His wife is Maya Harris.
Go lower to see if the controversy on it.
So I looked. I couldn't find anything in a scandal regarding billions. The only mention of billions in his Wikipedia article is right here. West was involved in efforts by the Department of Justice to reclaim $37 billion from large financial institutions, but it doesn't say anything about a scandal involving him.
Huh.
Then why would they fear?
Yeah, this guy mentioned that. Like the fact that they brought her brother-in-law, Tony West, faces allegations of embezzling billions of taxpayer funds who may be involved in her administration if elected. There's already articles about saying that they're going to tap him. I think that's the one, Robbie. Was that it? Embezzlement.
He was a former U.S. Attorney General under Barack Obama. Is who he was. Okay. West is married to Harris's sister, Maya, who he met in law school 35 years ago. After their wedding, he told the United Center, I also gained a sister I cherish, Kamala. As president, I'll know she'll fight for you, he concluded. This is his speech that he's giving. Interesting.
The New York Times, Pat, says he emerges as a close advisor to Kamala. The New York Times says he's going to be an advisor, even though he has. Dude, that's crazy that nobody's ever heard of him until ABC's like, make sure you don't bring him up, as if Trump would have brought him up. You know what I mean? Like they were doing research on this guy.
So how much credibility do you give this guy, Pat? Pretty high.
The
guy that basically wrote this affidavit.
I think, okay, let's see what he got right.
Yeah.
He said Trump's going to be fact-checked more than Kamala. Kamala was,
yes.
Yeah, that's fact. Okay, number 2 is the podium. Okay,
Yes,
fact.
we said that early.
Number 3, did they ask any questions about Joe Biden's health?
No, they did not.
No.
Okay, that's the 3rd one, right?
They did it.
Her
So-
record as Attorney General.
Her record as
not even asked about it.
Not brought up. That's 4, right? So if 4 is right, then Tony West, something has to be there. So I don't know. This guy seems like a guy that's if he wanted to speak and do an interview without showing his face, I mean, I want to see what that looks like.
What was Bill Ackman's involvement in this? I'm just
No, he
tracing
just
the
wrote an
details.
open letter to Bob Iger saying, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Basically saying,
know
did you
about
see this?
Yes.
And-
Did
and
you
hold
know
him
about
accountable.
this?
Got it. Makes sense.
Are you aware of this? And
Okay.
then Bob Iger is either going to respond or not going to respond.
Now, Bob Iger's, that's one person to respond. What about any sort of congressional hearing or anything like this? Like, where does this go from here?
By the way,
he kind of called his shot. And it
Watch
turned
what
out to be
happened
true.
here. She ends up doing she did an interview for ABC, a local ABC network. I don't know if you saw that when he asked her a question about the economy. Did you see this or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Rob, is this the one?
Yep.
Okay, so he's asking her about the economy. This is her answer about the economy. Tom,
Was it 3-4 days after the debate? Just to put a timeline on this?
Yes, 3-4 days after the debate. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I'll start with
Start
this.
from the beginning, Rob, because people have to hear the question. Go from the beginning. Go ahead.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are 1 or 2 specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn.
I grew up in an apartment.
Look at that.
And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that
Are you listening to this?
we
What is
as
she even
Americans
saying?
have a
He's
beautiful
asking her
character.
ideas on the
we
economy,
have
and she's like, I grew up
ambitions and aspirations
with people
and
that like their
dreams,
lawns.
but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that
This
can
is when
help
you don't
them
know the
fuel those
questions.
Okay,
dreams
here we
and
go.
Yeah, wait, watch.
We're getting somewhere.
so when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of
That's not Tom, that's the
investing
report.
in
Yes.
the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business.
Oh. By the way, that's what happens when you don't know the answers and you have been prepped and there's no cheating involved. That is her raw dog. That is her.
If only she had an advisor in her ear that just say, I'm going to work with the Fed to lower interest rates and help reduce the cost of living. And we're also going to work with an energy program.
That's it.
So that we can get if we're producing our own energy and we're not importing the oil, it'll get the cost of gas, travel, and diesel for trucks down, which would reduce the cost of things for the average American. That's how I answer the question. And even the most basic person could sit there and go, okay, well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, look, a lot of people say, listen, the reason I like Trump and the reason I want Trump in there is because he's a businessman and we need to run the country like a business. All right, there's a lot of truth to be said there. Now, you also have to understand that there's, policy that needs to be understood and everything that happens with the Constitution. And maybe Trump is not exactly the number one candidate for that. But here you have Kamala, who, you talk about public-private partnerships. Has she literally ever had a job not in public service? She ever run a business? Has she ever had employees?
She worked at McDonald's.
Okay,
And she has guns.
McDonald's claims she didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because you worked at McDonald's doesn't mean that you understand
McDonald's said
how
no.
small businesses work. And just because she's cooking the fries doesn't mean that she's cutting the checks. So here's somebody who has apparently zero experience running any sort of business whatsoever. So do I want to have someone who is 100% business that maybe needs to learn some policy perspective, or someone who is 100% government and has no clue how businesses run, the economy's run? The whole concept that she's looking out for small businesses is genuinely laughable to me. What in her track record has she ever done, ever, to help small businesses? And she's going to go basically, in 2008, when the mortgage crisis and mortgage-backed securities, I helped people figure that out. No, you didn't. What did you do? That was the federal government basically helping step in with stimulus checks. What happened? I just think there's so much smoke and mirrors here, and where he needs to focus the economy, because she's absolutely clueless when it comes to that.
And it would have been such a layup because 2 days after the debate, the administration, not administration, but her people were pointing out, no. She's been in favor of fracking. She's not anti-fracking, because what do we know fracking? Fracking helps you drill, baby, drill. Yep. And all that answer had to be, inflation? We're worried about inflation. Let's talk about the cost of gas and the cost of heating oil that hit people right in the pocketbook. I am in favor of fracking so that we can have more oil and gas drilled here in the United States and get the price down for the American people. That's not a complicated case study. That's a simple answer. And Adam, to your point, why can't she just say that from something her campaign was answering 2 days prior?
The reason why I show that is because she went to an ABC network. So the agreement is ABC. What do you think is the longest podcast she's going to do?
You think she'll do one?
What do you think is the longest podcast she'll do?
50.
0. I do not think that she'll sit on a long form podcast
at all. No, unless it's like, well, she was on the Breakfast Club. They just laughed and they joke around, and it's absolutely.
When was she on the Breakfast Club?
Oh, she was on the Breakfast Club a while ago.
Okay, but I'm saying, what is she doing now? I think everything's going to be Joe Biden 2.0, hang out in the basement, scripted, edited, zero.
Right, so here's what Stephen A. Smith said.
Independent podcast, not happening.
Here's what Stephen A. Smith said about that. Let me see. What page is that Stephen A. Smith story on, Rob? If you can tell me, I'll go to it. Oh, here we go. It's not going to continue. It's not going to continue to work. Stephen A. Smith sounds alarm on Harris copying Biden's basement strategy. Rob, if you can pull up the clip of Stephen A. talking about this, I'll read a little bit about it, but it's just better you hearing. Is this it, Rob?
Yep.
Go ahead and play the clip.
I think that she has to turn around and she's got to hit him low too. You know, it ain't like she don't have it ain't like she's devoid of the ammunition. She's got plenty of ammunition, and she's going to have to come out there swinging, because if you look at some of the things that he said, even with the product, that's why I went off on my podcast this last show when I was talking about enough of the hiding. You know, Biden was the president. They greased the skid so he didn't have any competition for the primary, so there was no primary. And then ultimately he shows his face on June 27th, and we learn that respectfully our president, he just didn't seem to have it anymore. Yeah. And so obviously the Democratic donors and what have you forced him out. She comes in there, you put her in there, and what does she do? She's using rallies as interviews. No, that's not the same thing. You got to go up there and fight fire with fire. He's showing up everywhere despite 34 felony convictions, 2 impeachments, multiple civil suits against him. He's going out there and showing his face everywhere. And then he's bringing up the war in Ukraine. He's bringing up the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in Gaza and beyond. He's bringing up some stuff that's going on with our borders, stuff that's going on in this country. And he's saying, where is she? He's doing that on purpose because it's an engagement in misogyny where he's trying to imply, I'm a man, I'm strong, I'm willing to show up and fight. Where is she at? You can't answer that by not showing up yourself. It's working now. Please don't get me wrong. I was making the point, it's not going to continue to work. You're going to have to show up and show out just like he does. Wherever he goes, you have to show up and be like, I'm here too. Let's get it on.
Tom, what do you think about what he's saying?
Well, I agree that it's not going to work. So I agree with the core of what Stephen A. said. Hey, this isn't going to work. You got to fight fire with fire. What he is saying is, regardless of who he votes for or who he wants, his core point is correct. If you're going to run a campaign and you're going to, go up against somebody, you got to go out there and he's saying fight fire with fire because he's trying to give Kamala some encouragement, and then she's not doing it. And he's pointing out, Trump saying, who is she? So what Stephen A. is saying, hey, if we're going to, let's face it, Stephen A. doesn't have any respect for athletes that won't come get in the game. And he's right. And he doesn't have any respect for people that hide behind excuses. He doesn't let athletes give a fake excuse when they interview. He'll call that right out. And what he's saying here, hey man, you got to go out there and you got to get in the ring and you got to really fight. And I agree with him on that.
You look like you have a different idea.
Listen, and Tom, I agree with what he's saying, but I don't have any respect for anyone that's this educated that knows. He just laid it out. No primary. This democracy that they're talking about, they forced this guy out. Again, more democracy. They install Kamala Harris. And for someone like Stephen A., who's educated and smart, dude, we've hung out with him. We've broken bread with this guy. How can you in your right mind say that you are voting for Kamala Harris? She's bringing nothing to the table. She has no policies. They cheat when they freaking have these debates. There's no substance. Like, when somebody says, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and you say why, there is no other answer, PBD, except she's not Trump. It's not Trump. It's not Trump. What is she running for? And nobody could say it. Nobody, Tom.
Did Stephen A. said he was running for her, or did he say the basement campaign strategy isn't going to work?
Yeah. No. But I, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, who do you think he's voting for? I think I've heard, Rob, that he said he's voting for Kamala. Am I mistaken? I don't think I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think he's voting for Trump.
No, absolutely not, Rob. Rob, did you say you have something to say? Is he voting for her?
Oh, no, I don't know. I just brought up this clip. This is Gwen Waltz to Vinny's point, Pat, if we can play this. This is her at a rally this week where they don't talk about any campaign issues whatsoever. Yeah. It's just, we're not Trump. Vote for us based on that.
Yeah, could we see it? Could we see it, Rob? Well, she's weird. Look at her eyes.
I kind of liked it when she did this.
Turn the page.
Turn the page.
God.
You like that?
Huh?
Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we going to do? We're going to turn the page.
Oh, my God.
Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're going to turn the page. And we're going to turn the page. All right, so I'm going to be watching you because when I see Wisconsin... And I'm going to watch you nationally on TV because this is a pretty important place in Minnesota. Help you practice with this. You just show me this. Turn the page.
God.
Right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye.
Oh, God.
Bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Oh, TDS, dude.
We are turning the page.
Oh, my God. Bro.
52 days and we are turning the page.
I mean, look who she's married to. Tim.
She is in no danger of ever having to give a Nobel Prize acceptance speech.
Their whole reenactment of this whole thing, Tom, we're familiar with this whole thing. The tassel to the left, to the right. We understand that. I'd like to turn the page on that. But here's the reality.
I'll be over here.
As much as I respect Stephen A. Smith, he is dead wrong, man.
Good job.
The whole concept that she needs to get out there and get out of the basement and she needs to put substance and put some meat on the bone and actually take some tough questions. No, she doesn't. I mean, do we want her to? Do we want her to face the challenge? Do we want her to step up and actually put her feet to the fire? Of course we do. Because I would venture to say that she is probably the least known presidential candidate ever. What do we actually know about her?
Nothing. They didn't vote for Adam. They didn't pick her.
She was coronated as a DEI candidate, per Joe Biden's words, in 2020. She was catapulted when Joe Biden had his meltdown. What do we know about her? We just figured out there's some guy named Tony West that apparently owes billions of dollars.
Embezzling.
What's going on with that? I don't know. I've never heard about that. What are her parent, her father, Marx's mother? What's going on with that? The sister? We don't really know that much about Kamala. But listen, if I'm her, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. Rob, if you pull up to 538, do you know 2 months ago, she was minus 16 underwater favorability ratings. Minus 16. Her unfavorable rating was 53. Her favorability was 37. I sent it to you on Slack. Right now, she is dead even. Kamala Harris. There it is right there. She in a matter of 2 months, she went from irrelevant, unlikable vice president to potentially within 3 points margin of an error, the next president of the United States. This gives me massive concern and pause for concern. But as we learned with anything going on here, as long as you're doing things like turn the page and talking about abortion, there's some people who are deeply emotional that have TDS that they're just like, yeah, I can't do Trump.
But Adam, you notice
that's the problem.
That jump goes up to approval, Adam, because once the mainstream legacy media machine gets behind you, bro, they can make Kamala Harris look like she's the savior of the world.
How do you go from being completely unlikable, drowning in 2 months,
Adam, you know,
you're neutral and people like you?
Go ahead, Rob.
You know, it's an interesting, if you look at this chart and you follow it and you look at her favorability ratings, look where it drops off. July 13th is when Trump was the first assassination of Trump.
Dumped down?
And all of a sudden it dives.
And then goes favorable, unfavorable. Well,
and then it crosses.
Now, where is it now?
She's back to 47.1 unfavorable, 46.4.
What's the net?
Well, let's face
point something.
0.6.
So the point is she went from highly underwater, unfavorable, unlikable to now, we're good with Kamala.
Yeah.
So the point is, whatever she's doing is working, although a lot of people see through the BS.
Yeah. Can I challenge you a little bit on that? You just said whatever she's doing is working. We have seen the analysis of the news that the coverage of her is in over 90% positive from all of the big outlets that constitute what the most majority of Americans hear. You don't think that 90% positivity is having an impact on, the voters that are in this poll, that are being surveyed here, but that are not really paying attention, that get their news and snack, that deal on perceptions and feelings? You don't think that's driving that here? I think it is.
I definitely think it's fair. Yes,
okay, well, that's not what she's doing. She hasn't done anything grand, and that's the point where I challenge you. Yeah. I don't think she's done anything. I think that she is getting the winds in her sail from the mainstream media.
That's my point, is that she doesn't need to do anything.
There's so much we don't know.
Stephen A. Smith is saying she needs to do more. And basically all the data is like, no, she doesn't.
Yeah. There's a lot we don't know.
Just let the media just put the wind behind her.
But there's a lot we do know, right? We do know that she didn't work at McDonald's, but we do know she was dipping the French fry with Willie Brown. Ew. So there's all the things that we do know compared to everybody wants to talk about we don't know. But the more people see,
I think it was potatoes. But go ahead, keep going.
It was the more people see, they are moving.
Yeah.
And one of the only things that matters, get beyond all of the debate stuff. You know what mattered in the debate? What did the undecideds and the core independent undecideds, what happened to them? Reuters found out they were breaking 7-2 for Trump. And in national polls, you're seeing that start to show up in national polls. And by the way, why do we have a shortage of national polls right now? We've gone a week where we've only had, I think, 6 major pollsters put out a big national poll result. Want to know why, Adam? The pollsters are sitting on them because they don't match the narrative, and they detect that she's losing a little momentum now. And so it's the mainstream narrative that gives her that 90% positivity is now sitting on a lot of polling data because they don't want it to come out. And they're waiting for all of this stuff to help.
So let's go to this. Let's go to it. We're going to find that out because when you look at the odds, ready your bets, election gambling is going to mainstream U.S. political. September 12th, the story comes out. So Kalshi, a finance exchange startup, received approval to offer regular election betting markets in the U.S., allowing traders to bet thousands of dollars on political outcomes. He celebrated this as a historic victory, saying now is finally the time to allow these markets to show the world just how powerful they are at providing signal amidst the noise. The Commodity Futures Trade Commission opposing Kalshi's market, arguing they violate federal law and risk degrading U.S. election integrity. Senator Jeff Merkley, Democrat from Oregon, called it a nightmare scenario, warning it could allow wealthy players to put their thumb on the scale on elections. The CFTC has appealed the decision, and a market's future remain uncertain. Adam.
Well, as much as we can talk about all the polls, 538 and Statista and ABC and Quinnipiac, and you throw out every single name, the only one that I look at is Vegas. And because Vegas actually has money on the line. We talk about these people right now ready to place their bets. Election gambling is going mainstream in the U.S. Don't look now, but Kamala Harris is the favorite to win the presidency in 2024. Prior to the debate, we talked about this the night of the debate on September 10th. Trump was up 52% to Kamala's 48%. If you basically do the math on the 4-5 or 11-1. So if you take the money line on Kamala, she's basically minus 109. So if you're minus, that means you're the favorite, and Trump is plus 116. So just do the basic math.
Even.
Trump is now 47% to her 52%. She's the favorite. Now, if you told me 3 months ago, after Joe Biden basically almost died on stage, Kamala Harris was possibly going to be the replacement with Greta Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, we said, there's no way
Michelle Obama.
that unlikable Kamala Harris is going to be the candidate. Fast forward, it's September 16th as we speak right now, and 17th, and she's the favorite for the presidency of the United States. Are you freaking kidding me? Welcome to DEI 2024. That's the reality today, that she could legitimately be the president of the United States. And it's shocking to me, but true.
I love Senator Jeff Merkley. This is a nightmare scenario. It could allow wealthy players to put their thumb on the scale in elections. Yeah, that never happens now.
Yeah. Pat, did you see what the Pope said about these two?
What?
Did you see? So I sent Rob, I sent you the video. Pope Francis was on an airplane in the aisle of all places speaking to a group of people about our elections in the United States. And he basically said Kamala and Trump are both anti-life. And he said Kamala's anti-life because of her abortion stance and that Trump is for kicking out migrants. Look, he's on an airplane. Like, can you imagine you're on an airplane and the Pope is just in the middle?
The Pope is giving a speech.
Yeah, look at this.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Ambedue sono contro la vita, sia quello che butta via i migranti, sia quello che uccide i bambini.
Bambini.
Nella morale politica, in genere si dice che non votare è brutto. Non è buono.
Non è buono.
Si deve votare. E si deve scegliere il male minore.
The lesser.
Chi è il male minore? Quella signora o quel signore? Non so, ognuno in coscienza pensi e faccia questo. Ambedue.
By the way, he's Trump.
You know, later he did say 100 on Trump, take the points.
I mean, do we want the Pope weighing
By the way,
in on
let me just show
politics?
this to you. Let me just show this to you. This is very important, guys. Can you pull this up, Rob? I just sent you this article. This is in 2016, okay, when Hillary Clinton's going against Trump. Do you know what day election day was? November 8th. Okay? Election day was November 8th. The day we voted was November 8th, okay? So this article comes out, CNN, and I want you to show the article and exactly when they wrote the article, okay? Zoom into the article. I just texted you, Rob. Watch this. So zoom into the time. It's written 12:17. That means noon, like about an hour and 90 minutes from now, okay? November 8th, Tuesday, they're writing this article. Clinton's odds rise again, okay? So go lower, Rob. If the video plays, actually play the video. Play the video. Go ahead. Watch. Oh, shit. They took it down. Okay. Go lower. All right. Let's read this together. Hillary Clinton's odds of winning presidency rose from 78% last week to 91% Monday before Election Day. Okay? Clinton's odds have always been much greater than her opponent, Republican nominee Donald Trump, according to the prediction market. Although they have dropped last week, her odds stood at 95% on October 20th, just 2 weeks before the election. But on October 26th, she dipped to 90%, then continued to decline October 31st on Halloween. They reached 78% right after Director Comey sent a letter to Congress saying the FBI discovered emails related to the closed investigation of her private email server and wanted them reviewed. The email controversy has plagued Clinton's bid for the White House since she announced her run in April 2015. On Sunday, Comey told lawmakers the agency hasn't changed its opinion that Hillary Clinton should face criminal charges after a review of new emails. Now Clinton's odds stands at 91%.
Don't call
This is election day.
Wow.
This is the day everybody's voting, and Trump fell to 9%. A steep decline from 23% of 1 week ago. CNN's political prediction market is an online game administered by company Pivot, which functions like an online market and allows internet users to predict the outcome of the 2016 election. It is not to be confused with the polls from real voters. With 1 day to go for election, CNN poll shows Clinton leading Trump a narrow 4.46 to 42, right? Wow. So you can look at the Vegas odds, you can look at all the numbers, you can look at everything. This thing's going to go down to the wire, and Trump beat Hillary. Hillary was more formidable than Kamala. Peter Thiel said something 3 days ago. I don't know if you have the Peter
cheating,
Thiel.
Pat? Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
He said, if it's going to to be close,
they're going to cheat.
She will cheat. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they're already doing it. They did it with an ABC.
Type in Peter Thiel.
Cheating. It's going to come up.
That one right there. Yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
If it is going to be close, by the way, if it's like going to be a razor thin close election, then I'm pretty sure Kamala will win because they will cheat, they will fortify it, they will steal ballots, and so you know if we can answer them. I like that. I love this panel. In the event that it's close, I don't want to be involved. In the event that it's not close, I don't need to be involved. And so that's sort of a straightforward analysis right there.
Is that the All-In podcast?
I am still very strongly pro-Trump, pro-JD. I've decided not to donate any money politically, but I'm supporting them every other way possible. If it is going to be close, by the way.
I mean, these guys are big wigs, man. These guys. This isn't just some Monday day quarterback to just, hey, I think these are going to cheat. That's a bold statement, Tom.
But I love it. I agree with Peter Thiel. I'm of the opinion that right now that what the mainstream media is doing is they have to portray the election as close. Because if you portray it as close and something happens, then, it was close. Why are you so surprised? It was close. Yeah. I've got it at 74% chance, and I've got Trump at right now 289 on the electoral votes. And that's how I think it stands right now. And that is without any additional states, one like Wisconsin or Michigan. That's with Tom. That's with
and Tom,
Pennsylvania.
but Tom, can we urge people?
Hold on, Vinny. Yeah. Where are you getting 74%? I understand that if you think Trump is favored, but to go from 50-50, 52-48 to 75%.
No, that's not the national poll. I'm asking you, are you
saying that he's going to win all the swing states?
No, it's what I'm saying is I believe there is a 74% probability he wins the election. And I'm basing that on Nevada is wider now than Arizona, but he's leading both. Georgia is very similar to Arizona. He's leading both. And I believe all the numbers that we looked at, and by the way, we're not alone here. We're looking at Rasmussen, and we're also looking at the People's Pundit and people just like us who are maintaining a high degree of objectivity. And over the weekend, the Atlas poll came out on a national basis, and they were the #1 closest pollster in the last presidential election when you compared their last polls 7 days or less before the election and the results of the election themselves. They were right on it.
Tom, Tom, he just put that up for you.
Yep. That's from Atlas 3 days ago.
3.6 in the 3.6 nationally. That's where Atlas is. And there aren't
2.9. That's 2.9.
50.9?
48.
Okay, 3. Yeah. So it's 3. You're 3 points on a national basis now. And where are the other national polls? They're sitting on them because they don't match the news narratives. That's what's going on. I believe when I'm looking at this, that Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada are close, with Nevada being the most certain at this point, leaning toward Trump. And then I believe that he is at 2.5, 3.0 in Pennsylvania. And if you make the map with that, guess what you get? You get 287. Without Pennsylvania, you know where he is? He's 268. It takes 270 to win this thing. She has to run the table.
And she's not.
Rob, do me a favor. J.D. Vance had one of his one of the best moments on TV. Watch what happens here. I love this clip here. Go ahead, Rob.
Poor Dana Bash.
Rob, I can't hear anything.
You like to
go back a little bit? Yeah, please.
Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes.
Dana,
I love that.
Bobby, did you see Dana Bash's blink rate go through the ceiling? She starts blinking. That is a sign of direct stress.
Yes.
Like she's getting hit. And that's any psychologist and FBI profiler will tell you when blink rate accelerates, the person is under immediate current stress.
Let's go transition to a different story here. Rob, Tom, interest rates. Okay, Jamie Dimon says the following. I'll go into this and maybe you can talk about interest rates with this. Jamie Dimon warns of stagflation threat. Okay, so now keep in mind, Jamie just recently announced that the most important thing to him is him stepping down and succession. Jamie comes back down and lowers the amount of hours they want their guys to work at they were doing 80 hours a week. They're kind of going down to 60 hours a week. And then he comes out and says economic growth in the U.S. surpassed expectations in the second quarter with a 2.8% increase in GDP, driven by strong consumer demand and government spending. However, the economy has since shown signs of slowing down in the second half of the year, with private sector payrolls growing at the weakest pace since 2011, raising concerns about cyclical companies, JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon warned the stagflation, a combination of stagnation and inflation remains a real threat, which could lead to higher unemployment and reduced consumer purchasing power. Despite a decline in inflation, 2.5% in August, the potential for increased national debt and interest payments could exacerbate inflationary pressures. Dimon's concerns highlights the precarious balance of the U.S. economy as it navigates between growth and inflation. Tom, one, what's going to happen with interest rates later on today? And two, are you in the same place as Jamie?
Yeah, so today we're going to get some comments from Jerome Powell and then the official waving of the checkered flag on the decision. This morning, they said there will be a special press conference at 2 p.m. tomorrow. They announced that today. So it is a lock. We're going to get a quarter point off of the interest rate, and that's going to have a positive effect on mortgages. As a matter of fact, mortgages are reacting. Pat, you won't believe this. Take a look. I didn't talk to Pat about this. He hasn't seen this. Rob popped the slide this morning. Look at it. 30-year fixed, 6.5. Vinny, 30-year VA, 6.1. Hey-o. We haven't seen things threatening to get into the fives in 2 years. And so what this is just, and by the way, this is a $400,000 mortgage, 20% down, $750 credit. So this is not anything crazy. So that's what we're seeing here. Now, there are people out there, the Fed watchers, and I'm one of them, who believe that there is about a 60% chance based on the labor information that came out and unemployment, now definitely above 4, it's 4.2, that those could cause the Fed to say, you know what, we really need a half a point right now. You know what the Biden administration and Kamala Harris are doing. They are lobbying for a half a point right now. That's what they want. They need it right now. But the Fed watchers also say that the labor numbers, remember the ones that got revised over the last 3 weeks? There's a lot of controversy about that. Jerome Powell said that he was uncomfortable with the lack of consistency in the labor numbers. People say that's bad because if he's confident that the labor numbers were poor, and for 7 consecutive months we've lost full-time jobs in the U.S., then if he looks at that and accepts it, he probably goes that 60%, making it a half a point cut, because it means, hey, we're losing jobs, unemployment's up 4.2, those would correlate. Man, I think it needs to be a half point, but it's going to be a quarter point. And what Dimon is concerned about is with consumer delinquencies on cars and credit cards are up. Credit card balances are up again. All of that slows down or stagnates the economy. And then you have the unemployment going up, and that's the stagflation. So Jamie Dimon is saying, hey, we went from inflation way out of control. Now we could go to unemployment getting out of control, and as well as negative pressure on financial service companies who start to suffer losses from delinquencies. Even though over there at Chase, they're among the people that are charging people 25% on credit cards right now. So the banks initially make a lot of money, and then when it goes delinquent, so that's all of his concerns wrapped in a bubble there.
You remember about a month ago when the VIX shot up, the volatility index, and like boom, all of a sudden the market I think crashed 1,000 points.
It was because of the yen.
It was
Japan.
Yeah, it was sort of a function of that, but ultimately there was what it came down to was concerns over where unemployment was sort of trending, because I think the number that they want to keep it below is 5%. I think it's 4.2% right now. And there was some numbers basically coming in saying that it was trending in the wrong direction, 4.5%. Boom, VIX skyrocketed. Market basically got pummeled. I remember it was on a Monday. By the time we came back in on Tuesday and discussed it on the podcast, everything was back to normal again. So that just sort of sent shockwaves and reverberations in the marketplace. So regarding Jamie Dimon's comments regarding about stagflation. So we've just experienced some of the worst inflation we've had since basically 1980, where inflation I think was an all-time high at 14%. That was under Pat's favorite president, Jimmy Carter, that he owes being in America too, right? Shout out to Jimmy. By the way, who's still around with us, I want to say.
Yes, I think so.
About to be 100. But the difference between inflation and stagflation is, so inflation, boom, GDP goes up, cost of goods and services go up, so people start to spend more of their paycheck, like we all understand. But also part of it is that there's still low unemployment. Now with stagflation, there's still low growth, there's high unemployment, and inflation is still high. So it's basically a shitty situation where your spending basically starts to go stagnant because you just simply can't afford anything at that point, much like inflation where you have to just pay more. But Jerome Powell, who I often cite as probably the most important man in America who people don't know as a household name, he's come out and vocally said that he's not trying to tip the levers in any direction for Trump or Harris in this upcoming election, which I think we can all understand. He's probably one of the few people who seems to be unbiased. And by the way, I think he was appointed by Trump, regardless. He said there's also flashing signs of this inverted yield curve. You heard this whole thing, Tom. You basically explained that to me a few months ago, how that could basically be a sign of the economy. But if you look at the United States compared to the rest of the world, inflation, I think, is closer to 2.5% at this point with the target of 2%. Unemployment, 4.2%, not bad. Stock market last year, 25%. This year, 15%. Market's doing good, but as we all know, there's a big difference between Main Street and Wall Street. But then you look at the Fed fund rate, what she's looking to do today. What it's at 5.25%, 5.5%. Prime rates at 8.5%. So what they're ultimately saying is that this is probably going to be the last rate cut, potentially hike, doubt a hike, but until the election. So they're basically calling for him to basically go big or go home.
You think he's going to do half a point?
I think quarter's an absolute lock, and I'm only 50-50 on that because of his comments about the labor numbers. He does not like the fact that government's monkeying with the labor numbers.
Okay, so let's just say it's a half a point. How does the market react?
Oh, the market celebrates.
You think it's like a 5% day?
No, I think it's a 2.5 to 3% day, and the financial services sector, just is absolutely overjoyed.
What a perfect timing for some of us.
Isn't that weird?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, wouldn't it be great? But just think of what can be, Pat, unburdened by what has been.
I think the one crisis nobody is talking about, Rob, did you see the text I just sent you? Can you pull that up? This is probably one of the biggest crises no one's even bringing up. Pull this up. Pornhub traffic down 14.8% during the presidential
Rob's
debate.
Wi-Fi went down.
Yeah. By the way, when they put this data up, you know what else they put up? States with the biggest drop, okay? States with the biggest drop and states that didn't move at all. So if you look at this list, okay, go to the bottom. This is Pornhub. During the debate, they put this up. Now, by the way, what a great thing for Pornhub to put up. So here's 14.8.
You're not going to hear this on mainstream media,
but watch
guys.
this here.
Right now.
Watch this here. This is the funniest part about this, to see what states had the biggest drop-off, which means it tells you which states are more concerned about who's going to be their president, which states are like, I really could care less.
I'm going to keep going for it. Yeah.
So let's go through, Rob. First, go with the drop-off. Zoom in a little bit to the bottom. Okay, and go to the left. Yeah, the ones on the left is what we want to look at first. Yeah, kind of hide the other ones on the right if you could.
Yeah.
There you go. Maryland are the ones most focused. They went
Makes sense. They're
1
right
out of
next to
4.
DC. This affects them. They're in the DMV.
Pornhub,
I get it.
Delaware is next. Look at him. And Biden's people are like, look, we got to see what's going on here. Maybe it's like 5 people living there and one of them didn't watch. So it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Then you have Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Connecticut. By the way, all that area is very nervous. They're so look at Vermont, Massachusetts.
They're worried.
Are you in New Hampshire? Is that not weird that all the guys on the Northeast are freaking out? So then you have Washington, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Alaska, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Maine, Louisiana, Nevada, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan. Now go to the right side. Watch this. Tennessee, Jersey. So now Tennessee's around the same average as national. California, Bama, Florida, Dakota, Oregon, or Georgia, Iowa. Now look at all the way in the bottom. Missouri's like, I could care less. West Virginia is like, what debate? Okay.
Oh, who's on the TV? I'm going to go.
Look at DC. Even DC, these guys, they're about to hire their next boss.
Wow. They're like, who gives a damn? I'm not going to
know what's really going on.
That's so funny.
How are you processing these states, Pat? Because I have some opinions.
I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You're going to say blue state watches.
Well, I'm just. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Pat, tell us, because I know where you're
going.
First.
You go.
Go ahead, handsome. Go ahead. What's your point?
Well, if you go down there,
I know where he's going.
I don't want to. Rob, can I see the states, please? most of the states are already, it's decided. We know that Missouri's going red. We know that West Virginia is one of the reddest states in the country. South Carolina, Lindsey Graham out there hanging out with his man friends out there. He ain't watching this thing. DC, interesting, because you would see that they would be enthralled in this, but like, we already know that we're going blue. We're going with Kamala. Ohio's going red. JD Vance, we know that. New Mexico. Here's where it gets weird. Arizona. You figured they would be at full attention, no pun intended, with what's going on in the election. So that's interesting right there. We know New York's going blue, despite Trump saying that he's potentially win. But most of these states, with the exception of Georgia right there, it's sort of already determined. So it just goes to show that no matter what, you know how they say you can always tell when a recession is coming? Seriously, strip clubs. Because that is called discretionary income, discretionary spending. That strippers always know when it's not making it rain anymore in the economy right now. So here's just, right? Because, most guys, they go there, they spend their money, discretionary spending. Strippers out there, they know, say, I think there's a recession coming. Why am I getting change instead of dollars? Let's make it fold, not jingle. So this is also a flashing red light to see what's going on with the economy. Tom, you look like you're a kindergartner cracking a joke. What's going on?
No, I was just
You're turning red, Tom.
No,
what kind of inappropriate?
As usual, I was semi-patiently waiting for you to get to a point. But I think really what's going on here, if you take a look at these states, I think some of this prevents assassinations.
Why would you say that?
If these men don't get relief, you could have some of them becoming assassins because they leave the house without relief and they just want to shoot somebody. So it's
Tom. That is
Pastor Tom.
I love it.
Tom, I expect that from me, maybe even Vinny, not you, Tom.
No,
you're better than that.
No, come on, it's Tom.
All right. Well, listen, for what it's worth, we just kind of saw that data come up with an article
Tom,
in New York
PBD,
Post.
you didn't give me how you're processing the data. What's going on in Missouri?
I already told you. It's interesting when you see DC. Why are you not paying attention to who your boss is going to be? Yeah. You got to pay attention. You're not paying attention to it. Well, maybe because they know they don't really run it. They're like, we already know who our boss is, and his name is not going to be Kamala. It's going to be probably somebody named Nancy, Chuck, or something else than whoever it's going to be.
Missouri. What's the Missouri situation?
All right, let's go here. Let's go to the next one here, and I'll wrap up. Where's the one with Elon Musk? There you go. Elon Musk's quest to make men great again. Okay, Elon Musk's quest with making men great again. Continues to publicly embrace a tough guy, bro persona, amplifying posts about alpha males and making crude jokes. He recently tweeted an offer to impregnate Taylor Swift and joked about male anatomy on national television. Musk supports a republic of high-status males for decision-making, saying this is why a republic of high-status males is the best for decision-making. Musk has openly aligned himself with strongman figures like Trump, praising his toughness by recounting a story of Trump standing bloodied after a would-be assassination. Musk and Trump defiance sent a clear message to global bad actors, adding, if the American president is somewhat that, like evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world. Adam, thoughts on the story?
Well, specifically, we're talking about what Gen Z and the fact that they need some male role models in their life. Now, Elon Musk, I think he's reverse engineering what it means to be a man, because the fact that people are going to look up to be Elon Musk, I think is an anomaly. It's not realistic. You're not going to grow up. You're not going to be the richest man in the world. But there is some deeper meaning to what's going on here. I think the biggest divisiveness in America today is men versus women. Because if you look who's trending towards, who's voting towards Trump, it's predominantly men who care about the economy first and foremost, the border, but also married people, including women. If you actually look at who's voting left, it's predominantly women who tend to be single, and their major issues are abortion and climate change. So there's just total polarity with what people are looking for. Now, as far as Gen Z and what's going on with them, because there's another story here about snowflakeism. Was that right next to that story, Pat? Snowflake Gen Z hires are easily offended, and what Elon Musk is doing to make men great again. The problem with Gen Z is a lot of it comes down to social media. And everything that starts with an S, whether it's social media, whether it's shootings in school, whether it's stress, whether it's societal pressures of what it means to be a man, whether it's student loans, whether it's self-esteem, whether it's substance abuse, including porn, all these S words that are just sort of buzzwords for what's going on with young men and young women today. I believe that Gen Z is the most confused generation in human history because of one reason and one reason only. Because they're the first generation to grow up with this in their hands. And we're starting to see laws like DeSantis is basically saying you can't be on social media until you're 15. I totally understand that. It's super concerning. And we're starting to see girls specifically with body image issues, beauty standards issues. They've been raised on Kardashians. They were told by Kendall and Kylie Jenner to get lip fillers. That's what's making you going to look beautiful. You're going to get breast augmentation. That's what's going to make you look beautiful. And all these beauty standards are on the outside, but on the inside, a lot of people are dealing with moral rot and moral decay, and they're more interested in taking selfies than being selfless and actually helping people around them. That's why community involvement is going down so much. You also have a lot of young women confused between career versus family. We saw what happened with Harrison Bucker and all that. The rise of modern feminism has not been good for women. It's a problem, but at the same time, men have been told that if you act like a man and behave like a man, that it's toxic. Okay, so it should be more like Andrew Tate, or it should be more like Dylan Mulvaney. I'll take Tate for 1,000, Chuck. Then you have toxic masculinity. You want to make money, get rich quick. There's so many things, especially work-life balance, that young men have to basically decide between. I've been told to do work-life balance, but then if I actually want to get ahead, I actually have to work my tail off. There's a lot of confusing things that are going on with Gen Z right now. And if it takes Elon Musk, of all people, basically saying stand for masculinity and stand for things, even though he sometimes does it like a kindergartner would with his 69 jokes and his 420 jokes.
Good.
We know that we need all the help we can get with men these days.
You know, there's data behind this too, and that is just today, Pirate Wire's Riley Nork was reporting that women 18 to 29 today are far more likely to be liberal than they were 10 years ago. That same age group among men, 18 to 29, it's equal. They're actually down a half point. So 10 years, you get that, Adam? Over 10 years, women are far more likely to be liberal, 18 to 29. Men are just a tick less likely to be liberal, which explains the plunging birth rate.
Yeah.
Because when the women become, you can tell the symptoms of the women that are hard liberal, the purplish hair, the focus on me, and starting your sentences with, my analyst says, right? So there is, you know what it shows in the plunging birth rate? And the women more likely to be liberal men, it shows that there is a level of crazy that men will not accept, just to get laid. That's what it shows.
I'm tell
because
one quick story.
they're not in relationships with each other. The men of that age, the likelihood of them being in relationship of someone in their same age group is subtly dropping. Why? Because so many of them are far more to be liberal. So there's no punchline or joke here. This is just stats backing up what you're saying.
But everything with school has been, what's the whole 13-to-1 liberal versus conservative professors? It's sort of cascading down to society. So what's the problem? I went to the Capital One the other day to go look into a bank situation. And there was just, he was like a dude. You can just tell he was a dude, black dude, whatever. He's like, hey, what's up, man? How can I help you? And I noticed on his tag, it had a he, him.
Oh, God.
And I go, I didn't know how to approach it. I'm like, well, what's up with the name tag? You a he, him? He's like, they kind of like made me do it. I don't know. I was like, are you a he, him? And he's like, dude, I don't want this shit. He didn't want it on his tag is what my point. But he got sort of pushed into it. You got to pick a he, him, they, them, she, her, we, whatever it is, cisgender, what's going on? It's so confusing. I'm just like, I'm just a dude. That's all I kind of want to say to the guy. But you can see even in this case example of a guy, he's like, dude, I'm just trying to work and get a job. Now they're forcing me to pick a he, him situation. Whereas women, we all know they don't want to offend anybody. They're going to put the she, her, we, thee, them, whatever the hell these things are. Whereas dudes, they're going to be annoyed by it, but still they're going to play ball so they don't offend.
Here's the story.
Ups.
The story's up right there. So, and the plunging birth rate among these women, 18-29 plunging birth rate, which shows you that socialism and communism in women is the biggest anti-aphrodisiac in history.
Yeah.
And guess what? Girls, though, can we just toot our own horns? Republicans, us, valuetainment, like we look better than who's the girl that made that video? She drove by the vault. This girl, she was like, oh my God, I just drove by the vault and I'm seeing these handsome, manly. Did you see it? You sent it to me, right? Rob, do you have that
I
video?
remember her. I was standing up front by myself.
I know, that was all
Everybody
you by
else was
yourself.
in the studio. I was all by myself standing out there. She honked and I was waving.
Yeah,
that was
I know.
me.
That's exactly what was you. And I think Pat's gonna send it to Rob. But it and Adam, just that mindset. Those girls that are just liberal, like, they're not attractive. Like, I go to these events, these Republican events. We've been to Mar-a-Lago. The women just look freaking gorgeous because they don't have that virus that's coursing through their freaking veins. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm not sorry. We look better. We're more confident. We love the opposite sex. I love women that want the man to be a man. And it's not none of this crazy. Like, look at like when you see like a Rosie O'Donnell.
I saw Vinny pulls up to this girl. Okay, it's crazy. It's me and Adam on the side, and Vinny sees this. He goes up to her. He says, "Baby girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you. Let me buy you a drink. I'm Vinny." I'm like, Vinny. I was so impressed. I know with Vinny. Close at 3. She drives. She
This is the girl, right?
Yeah, that's the girl.
She sang that song?
No, but this girl.
Go ahead, Rob.
What's the
watch
chance
this,
you
Adam.
coming home with PBD?
This is what happens when you see Tom on the corner crossing the street.
Go ahead. Rob, we need audio. There you go.
She's cute. She's cute.
It's not Kamala. You can turn up the volume.
On the bottom is audio.
Never in my life have I ever seen a group of more attractive men than today in West Palm Beach. There was an event going on called The Vault. I think from what I could see online and just Googling it, it's like some type of business, leadership, entrepreneurial conference or workshop. They were hundreds of men that all were put together, dressed up, and just like looked so good.
Right. Hold on.
Like from their appearance, but also they were all gorgeous.
Thank you,
like, if
Tom.
you're at the vault and you're a man, comment below, like drop your out. I don't know what to say. Like
I'm already there.
Every single one was gorgeous. I was taken back because I'm sorry I live in Tampa and the men just weren't
she said,
it.
I'm going
next year.
I don't know.
I'm going next year.
That's great.
It was.
By the way,
it's just a vibe.
but there was something at the vault of it.
It was ridiculous.
There was something.
Did I tell you what I walk in? Because I saw it because I made that video. But I walk in, you're up there, Pat, and I'm not being that guy. I'm not being facetious. It looked like with the movement, with what we talk about, with what we're driving, you were like you were like this in the front, and it was just an army of people, like-minded, positive souls, trying to be better, pro-America, pro-God, pro-life. And I'm telling you, and this goes to this point, it exudes, it comes off of you, your appearance, your energy, your vibe. The other side is just angry, bitter, hate. And that's why the women, Tom, have this orange hair. They're all angry. They're all sitting around on The View, just hating life. It's like, you're not going to change unless you change your mentality. And that's it. And look how beautiful she is. And she wants us.
And by the way, this is how
she wants you.
What's your name? What's your name?
Yeah.
By the way, do you think that this is an anomaly? This is a one-off, that this is what women want? Or actually this is probably what most women do want?
Well, I mean, they're being told not
most
to
women
want
are
it.
interested in pansies and
soft guys.
Soft, like.
Well, that's what if you listen to the narrative, that's how, like the Barbie movie and everything that happened with that, and down with the patriarchy and how the women want basically soft feminine men. They're led to believe this, but men need to understand that it's okay, not only just okay to be a man, it is necessary to be a man. Because if you actually listen to women who want men, they want masculine, strong, dominant providers, protectors, not these Dylan Mulvaney pansy types. But the women on the left, they're like, no, I'd rather have a guy.
You end up with Ken.
Exactly.
And
who has no man
a weak
part.
guy with no job who dresses in J. Crew.
Being a man is absolutely
and girls, if you
want
to talk about it, that's my Menek right there. We could talk about the vote.
Yes,
we could talk about life, we could just talk about it all. Get on there, Menek.
And by the way, women entrepreneurs, if you're out there, we celebrate you too.
Hell yeah.
There were a lot of female entrepreneurs at the vault that were there. There were a lot of spouses on both sides. It was really amazing. It was for everybody.
I can't. Again, tomorrow, the Rock interview will be released here on PBD Podcast. Okay, it'll go out 9 a.m. But next year's Vault Conference, 2 things. November 5th, put it in your calendar. I'll most likely announce it end of this week, and it will be crazy. November 5th, put in your... If I don't announce it this Friday, it's most likely next Tuesday I'll announce it because we'll have the flyer details, everything completed. But both of those events, 5th and next year's Vault, It's just something's happening. I was telling the guy, I'm at this event at this Clever Investors, and I'm speaking at this. You were with me backstage.
Oh, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
I'm
God.
backstage, and I'm telling I said, if only people knew what we're working on behind closed doors that nobody is aware of what we're working on behind closed doors. That's what's exciting about it. Anyways, gang, Vinny, the other day I had no idea Vinny was a former chiropractor.
Yep.
Vinny was a chiropractor. And that clip, do you know how many views that thing has?
No,
on
but I love that thing.
If you had to guess,
take a wild guess.
If you had to guess, right
do
now,
you want to take
where?
a wild guess how many views Vinny's clip has
on Instagram?
On
Insta.
Instagram. If you just take a wild guess.
Z.
Does he have it or
Okay,
no?
Rob, you have it, right?
No,
It's
I
on my
want him to
Instagram
show
at the
it.
top.
I'm going to send it to you.
5 million.
How many views? Don't say anything.
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah. How about try? It's got 3 million
Go to
likes.
Reels, Rob. Go to Reels so they can
Click
see
on
it.
it.
Go to Reels.
10 million?
Up,
What is that?
Rob. See the Reels part right there? Look, Rob, Adam. Right there.
90.5 million views.
90.5 million.
Click on it. Yeah.
You're the most famous chiropractor in the world.
Yeah.
At this
Click
point.
on it. Watch this.
Rob volume. Rob.
And breathe. Just relax. Take a deep breath.
Be a maverick.
Okay, just you lose deep breath.
That's good.
Good. Just nice and relaxed. Take a deep breath. Okay. Nice. Okay, good. Loose.
Break his arm here.
Good. Okay, deep breath.
Future looks bright.
Make it loose.
Of course.
Perfect. Did you feel the pop? Okay,
Just
take
a
a deep
headshot.
breath and exhale.
That's great, Vinny.
Did you feel the release? You're doing great. You're doing fantastic. Yes.
90 million people. 90 million people have seen those.
It just tells you people just sometimes want to laugh. They're like,
At
look,
the
with
dump.
all the stuff that's going on, man, I just need to laugh a little bit. Anyways, gang, another episode today. Tomorrow, Rock. Thursday, we'll do another one. Do we have a home team Thursday? Is that what's going on?
We do home team Thursday, and then an interview will be out on Friday as well.
That's right. Okay.
Shout out to T-Pain, by the way. He got a nice shout out today.
He did. But that's, I mean, I've never seen a guy flirt with girls the way Vinny did it. Just pulling up. Okay. It was so impressive. Ladies, gents, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.